One of my biggest questions? Does someone as big as Steph even need a partnership with a brand? Randall told me in all likelihood the answer is yes.
Until you figure out just how much money goes into these supply chains, goes into even modeling a single sneaker. And then, of course, if you sprain an ankle in that sneaker, then nobody's going to want to wear it. You have to be, the cards have to line up in your favor, and you have to have people who want to wear these sort of sneakers. And I don't know if that's something that's in his vision.
Despite breaking up, there's still one more Curry sneaker Under Armour is planning to release in early 2026. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Getting more as a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member is easier than ever with the Lowe's app. Download it today and earn 500 points the first time you log in. Plus, your digital wallet helps you scan, save, earn, and access what you need to manage it all in one place. Download the Lowe's app and take advantage of your Pro benefits today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid 12/1/25 through 1/7/26. Offer valid for first login per organization only. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Additional restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh, the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping. Like a heartbeat's call, he's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Welcome to the program. Today is Thursday, December 18th, 2025. Couple of things. Christmas is in 1 week. The other thing is, I was just kidding when I gave you guys the Powerball numbers on Monday. I was joking. Them wasn't even the real numbers. I was joking. You know, I got a good sense of humor. I didn't even mean it. Those were kidding play numbers because they didn't win. No one won the $1.5 billion jackpot. So here's what we're going to do. I think there's another drawing on Saturday, right? Or is it next Wednesday? Either way, I'm going to give you all the real numbers because the numbers I gave you on Monday, y'all know I was just joking. I was kidding around when I found those Powerball numbers. I wasn't serious with those. Why would I give you the... I want the jackpot to grow. So why would I give you the real actual winning Powerball numbers? So, haha, joke is on you. But when they have the next drawing, that's when I'm going to give you the real, actual winning Powerball numbers because I want to make one of you a billionaire. The station became WNOV in 1967 and began targeting the Milwaukee African-American community. WNOV aired a variety of African-American oriented programming ranging from rhythm and blues, urban gospel, hip-hop music, and community affairs shows. In the past, WNOV was notable for several controversial local talk show hosts, particularly former Milwaukee Alderman Michael McGee Sr. In 2008, WNOV shifted to an urban adult contemporary sound. It then moved back to broader urban contemporary direction to more effectively compete with WKKV, which some of you know as V100, resulting in WNOV being placed on media basis urban reporting panel. On January 24, 2012, WNOV went dark. Courier Communications filed a request for a temporary authority, a special temporary authority, or an STA, to remain on the air at least temporarily. The station's owner and management company, Courier Communications, and Radio Multimedia entered into litigation due to ongoing disputes and removal of station equipment. So Gerald Jones sold WNOV to another radio station operator, and it's important to know that that radio station operator, his name is Renee Moore. You may be familiar with Renee Moore because he was half of a 1980s R&B group called Renee and Angela. Well, Renee owned many radio stations around the country, and I think he was based out of Louisville, and he made a play to purchase WNOV right around 2008 for $1.5 million. Ultimately, Renee filed for bankruptcy. He attempted to keep WNOV as one of his assets because when you file for bankruptcy, sometimes the courts will allow you to keep certain assets. That ultimately did not work out in Mr. Moore's favor. Although Courier announced plans to return WNOV to the airwaves once replacement equipment was found, the company filed another STA, a special temporary authority, on March 29, 2012, which would leave the station off the air until March of 2013. If the station did not return to the air before then, or the litigation was not resolved, the license could be returned to the FCC and WNOV could be deleted from the FCC's files permanently. The station's license was due to expire on December 31st, 2012, another reason the STA was requested. In May of 2012, WNOV resumed broadcasting, but it was not clear whether the return was only temporary. This move was due to Radio Multimedia's bankruptcy, that is the company that was owned and operated by Renee Moore, which resulted in WWPW in Louisville being taken off the air after it failed to make payments to WAY-FM, which owned WWPA's transmitting equipment. In the summer of 2012, WNOV, minus their FM signal, returned to the airwaves. It had a new moniker and a new format. The station began using the slogan, "The New WNOV." It started airing urban contemporary format. Weekday programs on the station included the Ricky Smiley Morning Show and The Forum with Sherwin Hughes in the late morning. Weekend programs included Urban Gospel on Saturday mornings and All Day on Sunday with Reverend Charles Green, the Baker Boys syndicated music program, the Blues Lounge with Debo, G-Jams with Ernie G, and a local Saturday evening radio show hosted by Ross Joel. The station ran automated at other times. The station was rebranded as WNOV The Voice in the fall of 2013. It was the morning of May 5th, 2012. It was a Tuesday, and I noticed that my phone It kept ringing. It kept nonstop. It kept ringing. It kept ringing. And it was alternating phone calls between then State Senator Lena Taylor and a woman by the name of Tosha Davis. At the time, Tosha Davis was State Senator Lena Taylor's chief of staff. And I'm looking at my phone, I'm seeing all these missed calls, and while my phone is in my hand, my phone is ringing again. They're calling me incessantly. They're alternating. Tosha's calling me, then Lena's calling me. And I knew that if I answered one of those telephone calls, it means that I was going to have to do something. Now, keep in mind, at that time, I was an independent political consultant working with an organization out of New York called Democrats for Education Reform, and we were working on education policy in several different states, most notably Wisconsin. I had a really, really good life. I was consulting. I was doing something that I loved to do, creating policy that would improve the academic performance of children. I had wonderful people I was working alongside from all over the country. Some of the brightest minds I think I've ever had the pleasure to work with. I really, really loved that consulting gig. I didn't need to do anything else. I was very happy doing that. I put all of my previous years of political and campaign and government experience to work creating education policy with Democrats for Education Reform. So my phone is ringing and ringing and ringing, and finally I decide to answer. And here's the debate that still exists to this day. Tosha will tell you that it was her call that I answered. Lena will tell you that it's hers. I think it was, in fact, State Senator Lena Taylor that I talked to because she, as I expected, ushered very specific orders for me because, you know, Lena does that. Now, I'd worked for her previously, several years prior, in her state Senate office, but I was probably a couple of years removed from working for her. But Lena and I remained close up until, let's just say, fairly recently. And I remember her saying, Sherwin, you have to get up to WNOV right now. And I remember saying to her, with all due respect, Senator, no the hell I do not. I was laying in bed with my girlfriend on that Tuesday, June 5th, 2012. I remember like it was yesterday. And guess what? I probably wasn't wearing any pants, since you must know. And so here I am laying in bed with my girlfriend early in the morning on Tuesday, June 5th, 2012. And Lena Taylor, a state senator who I used to work for in her state Senate office, is now telling me that I need to get to WNOV. And I respectfully declined, and I said, okay, Senator, you have a good day. I'll talk to you later. And I hung the phone up. Well, guess who called me right back? Sherwin, I'm just going to keep calling you until you get to WNOV. We need your help for a little while. I was like, wait a minute, WNOV is back on the air? Because I didn't know that they had returned. Apparently WNOV, because they went dark for some time, because the owner, Gerald Jones, had sold WNOV and its licenses and its transmitters basically to a bum who never even intended to pay the full price, the agreed upon contractual price for WNOV. So WNOV was off the air. And the thing about radio is if a radio station disappears for only a short period of time, people begin to forget about it and they change their listening habits. Also keeping in mind the WMCS 1290 was in its full glory at that time, owned by former Packer great Willie Davis. So WNOV was gone because of that dispute over the sale of WNOV to essentially a bad actor. So if you were listening to Black Talk Radio in the year 2012, you were listening to WMCS 1290. It should be noted that there was a period of time in which WMCS 1290 where you heard people like Eric Vaughn and Earl Ingram and TJ and many other people was one of the top 5 most listened to black radio stations in the country. In fact, WMCS was so popular, this is AM 1290, that Earl Ingram would often fill in for Michael Baisden, a nationally syndicated show, because that is how popular WMCS was at the time. So I am told that I need to get to WNOV because they need my help filling in for a little while. Didn't make any sense to me. June 5th, 2012 was the recall election of then Governor Scott Walker, where Tom Barrett was running to replace Scott Walker after the debacle that was Act 10. WNOV did this thing called Election Central, where they would broadcast from when the polls open until the polls closed, and they would give real-time detailed information about what was going on at different polls. There'd be a whole bunch of different guests, a lot of surrogates, a lot of elected officials, and there would be a full 13-hour conversation that was taking place on WNOV while the polls were open, and people could call in and talk about what the lines were like and what their experiences were like. Part of it was public information programming surrounding the election, but a lot of it was to combat any voter suppression that we thought the Republicans might be up to. I used to love those 13-hour broadcasts when I was at WNOV because it was probably some of the most informative and educational programming that I ever did because it was focused on that election. Whatever that election was, that is what the programming was for that entire 13-hour day. It was a real marathon broadcast. And so eventually I relented. I made my way to WNOV. I did not speed. I did not hurry. I got there when I got there. Right now I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to let you know how that day transpired, that day, June 5th, 2012, when I was asked to fill in just for a little while at WNOV 860 AM. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Need a way to hype up your day?
This is Lorenzo.
Lorenzo! You just won $5,000!
What would you do with $5,000?
That's sweet for a couple months.
Yes!
There you go.
Yes.
That just made me happy.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
Can we hold something?
Y'all holler back at y'all.
I got money now.
Talk to these people in terms of how do I register for this program despite my reservations and my previous experiences of rejection?
Yes, I tell anybody and everybody that you can buy a house. It may take somebody longer than the other person depending on what your circumstances is with your credit and income and affordability, but you can purchase a house. The first step would be is to register for our program. You can come to our office, 7830 West Burleigh Street, or you can give us a call at 414-461-6330, or just go onto our website, hri-wi.org. Register for the First Time Home Buyer Education Workshop. That's going to be your first step to home ownership. During that class, you're going to learn everything that you need to know from A to Z, how to get approved for a house, how to look for a house and put an accepted offer, and how to close on a home.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
So WNOV had returned to the air that spring of 2012, and one of the ways in which they were going to generate more interest in the radio station that had returned to the air after a relatively short hiatus is they were going to do a 13-hour program called Election Central to provide information and interviews and conversations for the entire 13 hours that the polls were open in the state of Wisconsin on June 5th, 2012. As you all know, polls open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m., and at that time, we were really under the impression that Scott Walker was going to be defeated. It was an unusual time to have an election, but it was an election going on nonetheless. And so WNOV wanted to do this 13-hour broadcast that they called Election Central. I was called and contacted by State Senator Lena Taylor because she was one of the individuals that was not only helping WNOV come back on the air, she was also responsible for booking guests to fill an entire 13-hour day full of programming. So I was called, I responded to the call, I made my way to WNOV. I walked in the studio. When I say it was bare bones and Spartan, because remember, the ownership of WNOV had just changed, and all of the equipment that was once in that radio station, most of which had been removed. There was a mixing board, there were microphones, that was about it. There was no internet connection. All I had was my cell phone, and I was not prepared. I was not rehearsed. Now, remember, I had not really done radio before, and I had made appearances. When Eric Vaughn was on WMCS, I appeared with him a couple of times. Eric Vaughn used to have a show on Fridays called The Man Show. I might have made a couple of appearances on The Man Show, but never hosting my own show. So I get in front of the microphone. I'm over here looking at Lena. I'm like, I'm shrugging my shoulders like, what do I do? And she says, talk. And it was pretty easy for me because I had been around campaigns and elections for a long time, and I talked about the importance of the recall election and why Scott Walker needed to go. And at that time, we knew and could predict that Scott Walker had presidential aspirations, and I thought that this was a way in which Wisconsin could rid itself of the plague that was former Governor Scott Walker's policies and elect Tom Barrett. I was only supposed to do a 30-minute shift, and then someone else was going to come in and relieve me, because remember, they had 13 hours worth of programming that day on June 5th, 2012. I was only going to fill in for 30 minutes. Somebody didn't show up, or there was some other, maybe a miscommunication in booking the guest, which I can totally understand, because if you're booking 13 hours worth of programming in a single day, that's pretty labor intensive. And so somebody didn't show up or whatever the case may be. So I said, fine, I can talk about elections and voting, the importance of the recall election for 30 minutes. The 30 minutes went by very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly. We even got some telephone calls. People had questions about registering to vote. People had questions like, is my polling location the same at a recall election as it is during a primary election or a general election? So we answered all of people's questions. We likely had a poll or two that ran out of ballots, because whenever there is, let's say, a special election, there are some polling locations in the city of Milwaukee whose voter turnout is so notoriously low that they'll run out of ballots if turnout happens to be high, you see. And so people would call in and say, hey, Sherwin, over here at Roosevelt Street School or 33rd Street Elementary School, we have run out of ballots. Please let the people know. And because we would broadcast that information in real time, elected officials would often hear, especially if it was in their district, that certain polling locations ran out of ballots, and we could get ballots police escorted to those polling locations. So my 30 minutes went by very, very quickly. And so my 30 minutes is up, because trust me when I tell you, I was watching the clock now. Wanted to get up and get out of there. I had stuff to do on that Tuesday, June 5th, 2012. And then my 30 minutes is up, and I look over at Lena, and I'm like, who's the next person? She said, keep going. I said, all right, well, the first 30 minutes went relatively smoothly. So next thing you know, I did another 30 minutes. I'm looking around for my relief. Keep going. I ended up broadcasting unprepared, unrehearsed, no computer, no internet for 10 hours. Whoever else was supposed to come and fill in for me never showed up. I interviewed individuals like Ray Harmon, may he rest in peace. Congresswoman Gwen Moore stopped by. A gentleman who some of you may remember named Malin Mitchell came by. Guy named Sachin Chetta, a well-known and notorious political consultant in Milwaukee, he stopped by. And we just had conversations, and we talked about our different intersections with politics. And Scott Walker was always the gift that kept on giving when it comes to black talk radio. I was really proud of myself, also because I was hungover. I did 10 hours worth of radio. It was one hell of an accomplishment. Election Central with bare bones and Spartan equipment was, in my opinion, an overwhelming success. But that was it. I went home after a very, very long day in which I did not get paid, but it was my dedication and my public service to my community during an election to make sure that there was someone there to steer and drive the train during that very important and pivotal election, which, in fact, Scott Walker did win. I got a telephone call that Thursday from the owner of Courier Communications and WNOV, Mr. Gerald Jones, may he rest in peace. And he said, Sherwin, when you were on air everybody thought that you actually were a host of a show. And they kept asking us when your show was on because people wanted to tune into your show. I'm like, oh, that's very flattering, Mr. Jones. He said, well, we want to get you on the air. I declined because I didn't know what that was going to mean for my schedule. I also know that I didn't want to do what I had just did on that Tuesday every single day of the week. It's just where I was personally and professionally. I didn't want to switch direction in my career because I was very happy doing what I was doing, you see. Well, what the hell I want to get in front of a microphone for? And I also thought to myself, who would want to listen to me every single day? I still ask that question, actually. He said, why don't we just try something? We have a show that's on that's hosted by Stephanie Finley. Stephanie I've known for probably 20 years. He's like, why don't you join her? Why don't we give it a try? Just you and Stephanie. Stephanie's the host. You'll be her co-host. I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Why not? Let me try it. Try something new. And plus, there's a co-host there. So if I didn't want to talk or if I didn't have anything to say, I could just defer to my co-host. I remember joining Stephanie on the air. It may have been Wednesday of that next week. She resented it. She saw it as her show. She didn't want a co-host. She didn't need a co-host. But I think Mr. Gerald Jones, in trying to rebuild his radio station that had gone dark for a period of time, he wanted more people and more personalities broadcasting on WNOV 860 AM. Stephanie and I it didn't work out. And I love her. I still love her so very much. But she had her own perspective on how to do radio, and I had mine. I was much more, seat of the pants, fly off the cuff. If you think about it, say it. Spark conversation. Be a little controversial. Stephanie was a little bit more measured and a little bit more metered. I did 2 days with Stephanie. It was a Wednesday and a Thursday. And I remember calling Mr. Jones that Thursday afternoon and saying, with all due respect, Mr. Jones, it just isn't working out with me. And Stephanie and radio is not something that I was pursuing or wanted to do anyway. I am not coming back for the Friday show. And he respected that. He was like, all right, Sherwin, okay. Well, you know how Mr. Jones is. All right, then, you sure about that? If your mind is made up, I ain't going to try to change it now. Please remember that Mr. Jones said that. If my mind was made up, he was not going to try to change it. Here's what happened next. Stephanie did the Friday show, which I listened to because I was with her the previous 2 days. So, of course, I listened to her on that Friday. So Stephanie went off of the air. She completed her broadcast week. I inconvenienced her for 2 days. I was a co-host that she didn't ask for. She and I butted heads a little bit. It is what it is. She and I remain friends, I think. After Stephanie got off the air, and I shouldn't laugh, but it wasn't funny at the time. It's funny now. Mr. Jones called me almost immediately after Stephanie Finley's show ended and said, we fired Stephanie. Your show starts on Monday. Long pause, heavy silence. And because I felt such duty and such obligation, because they fired somebody so that I could have a show, I simply said, okay. The show was called The Forum, and I began broadcasting. That would be probably the third week of June 2012. Prior to that, Homer Blow, who you just heard this morning with Bailey Coleman, had blowradio.com, and I think Homer started blowradio.com in like 2000, maybe 2008. I had a show with Homer. Homer was a pioneer in internet radio. Homer was doing online broadcasting in the early 2000s. So I had a 1 hour show. I don't even know. Homer, how often was my forum show at blowradio.com? It wasn't every day, was it? Was it every day? Well, it didn't last long. But that is where I originally came up with the concept of having a political talk show called The Forum. That was back in like 2010. I tried my hat at internet radio. It didn't last that long. I asked Homer if I could reuse the namesake The Forum, and he, of course, said yes. And at the time, Homer Blow was also program director at WNOV. I stayed at WNOV until the summer of 2018. And not only did we bring that radio station back to life, they expanded the programming. They renovated the building and the offices. We brought over Eric Vaughn. We brought over Polly Williams. We brought over Jermaine Reed, my current producer, DJ Ricky Allenz. He started producing. May Keon Jackson Malone, rest in peace. Homer hired him to be a producer. Rhea Riley, who is currently filling in for Ricky this morning. Rhea had that jazz show. What's it called? All That Jazz, Rhea. That's what it was called.
Yes, sir.
You had one of the hottest jazz shows ever. I wish you would have talked more. You didn't talk a lot. You just were about the musics.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out.
You did a great job of it.
Thank you. I miss it a lot, actually.
So there was a day, I talked to you about this not that long ago, but you had no recollection of it. So during Juneteenth Day, which I used to hate broadcasting during Juneteenth Day because I'd be on the air, but broadcasting through my cell phone. So I would call into the radio station and I'd be broadcasting while I'm in the Juneteenth Day parade, which is horrible because you got people running up to the car and there's music playing and it's very noisy and I used to hate it. But Rhea, you said you didn't remember this. So you actually produced the last hour of my Juneteenth Day broadcast. That must have been in 2018. When did you start at WNOV? 2018, 2017?
Yeah, the spring of 2018.
So that June 19th, that's when I met you, actually.
I feel certain I did not produce that show.
Well, you didn't have to do much. You just basically answered the phone when I called in.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think I did it, though.
You 100% did, because I was asking, I'm like, oh, this is a jazz lady? Because I had heard your show, but because of when you were at the studio, we never saw each other.
Right.
Because you were there afternoons or evenings. Mm-hmm. I was done at noon, so I never saw you. And I remember, Rhea, I'm never going to forget, unless you stepped out of the studio and maybe, no, because Keon was in the parade that year.
Oh, he was? Doesn't say that. Sounds like him to come and just do it for me.
Keon was always upset that he could never be in the Juneteenth Day parade because he was always stuck in the studio producing. And I think that was the year that he was actually in the parade. And so I really maintain that when I say you produced that last show, you basically answered the phone when I called and I was just reporting from what I was seeing live from the Juneteenth Day parade. So right now I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. I don't know if you guys have heard, and the reason why I'm going down memory lane and talking about WNOV, number one, it is an institution unlike any other. It was pivotal in the civil rights movement and open housing marches to combat segregation and integrating our schools. WNOV was the station. It was closely rooted to the grassroots of the African American community. They have been purchased by Civic Media. And when I got the article sent to me last night, it was very bittersweet. Now, I parted ways with WNOV because when I say we had an insurmountable dispute over money, I had to go, y'all. I had to leave. And it wasn't a small amount of money that was in dispute. It was 5 figures. And because we could not come to an agreement, I thought it was in everyone's best interest that I parted ways with WNOV. But that radio station as an institution and as a place that grew me as a broadcaster, that allowed me to explore this medium of communication, this art, and allowed me to get closer to my community and talk to my community and inform my community and, to the best of my ability, help my community, it will always remain a special place in my heart. There was nothing like WNOV, both good and bad. It was the ultimate clearinghouse. I mean, we have more people right here at 1017 The Truth that worked at and came from WNOV than I think we even have people that were originally hired to work at 1017 The Truth. The institution of WNOV still lives on, and I'm very, very proud of that. WNOV was sold to Civic Media, a white media broadcasting firm. There was something that was comforting to know, even though we had parted ways, that we still had one black-owned legacy broadcast media institution, but that is no more. I do not know what the future of that radio station is. I personally don't think, and I should have asked Homer before he walked out, I don't think Gerald Jones ever would have sold WNOV to white folks. I don't think he ever would have did that. He died last summer, and now, starting on January 1st, 2026, WNOV will be wholly owned, and Courier Communications and their weekly newspaper will be owned by a white media broadcasting company. I'm going to take a break, come back. Would love to hear from you. Do you guys have fond memories of WNOV? I'm going to take a break, and then when I come back from the break, I'm going to talk about some of the notable personalities that passed through those golden microphones at WNOV, and some of those individuals that broadcasted at WNOV went on to do monumental things in broadcast media all over the country. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 5 and 20%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. Visit amfam.com to learn more. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Saving energy and money? It's easier than you think. Here are 2 simple things you can do to reduce your energy use and lower your energy bill. Use thermal curtains to reduce each room's energy loss by up to 25%. And make sure vents aren't blocked by furniture or rugs to improve airflow and comfort. Simple, smart savings. Get more energy-saving tips at WeEnergies.com. Again, that is WeEnergies.com.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 101.7 The Truth.
What was the life change? You know, we all know it happened, and we know things happen, and you have bad kidneys, but what was the life change afterwards?
A couple things. Before they even allow you to get on the list, they make you go through a battery of tests. And, you know, a lot of people don't qualify because they're overweight, or they have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. So all those things are requirements before you can even get approved to be on the list. So I had...
Wait, you got to be approved to be on the list?
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's interesting. There's a professional athlete or former professional athlete I know right now that has kidney disease, and he's on dialysis. And he wants to get on the list, and he's not accepting all the things you have to do, you know, to get on the list. But yeah, so for me, I spent 30 years in the automobile industry. You know, that's 12, 14-hour days, eating whatever somebody brings you to eat, whatever you run out and grab, McDonald's, whatever. It was never salads and, you know.
Yeah, but that was a choice, right?
It was a choice. Yeah. But I had to change all of that to even qualify to be on the list. I had to get down to the weight I had to be at. I had to get my phosphorus under control, my potassium under control.
Wait a minute. Even though somebody said they would give you a kidney,
absolutely,
you had to still make yourself eligible?
Absolutely.
Nah, that's okay.
When I mentioned the athlete, his relative actually died, and they wanted to take his organs, and they couldn't because he wasn't qualified. He wasn't on the list. Wow. Yeah, you have to be.
So there are over 100,000 people on that waiting list. So they are very serious.
And how many donors do we have?
And that's the problem. We don't have nearly enough donors.
Wow.
And that's why it's such a critical need. But they are serious about who they're giving that gift of life to, because there are so many people who are literally dying waiting for it.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
AM WNOV Milwaukee.
The Forum, exclusively on WNOV 860 AM The Voice. Your host, Sherwin Hughes, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 12 noon. Check us out online at WNOVmusic.com or WNOV860.com. It may not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, exclusively on WNOV 860 AM The Voice. Your host, Sherwin Hughes, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 12 noon. Check us out.
The views and opinions of this show do not necessarily reflect that of the staff and management of 860 AM WNOV Milwaukee and Courier Communications, but are the sole responsibility of the hosts and guests of this particular program.
Oh, that's the theme song right there. This is, Rhea, you remember this? I know you remember this.
I do.
Politics as Usual by Jay-Z. I got some golden shows. Keon recorded and saved. I've got hundreds of shows going back to like 2014. That's when we finally had the technology to save and to archive and to MP3 our shows, because back then it was just broadcast. We just broadcasted over the air. There was no digital archives of our shows. Not that I knew of, but in 2014 we had the ability to digitally archive the shows. And Keon, when I left WNOV, he was like, hey, Sherwin, I got all your shows on my hard drive. You want them? I probably have 200 gigabytes of audio. I've got interviews with, oh my God, Magic Johnson, Martin Luther King III, John Legend. I interviewed Sarah Jessica Parker from Sex and the City. I interviewed Eva Longoria, Star Jones. A lot of surrogates for Barack Obama, because when Barack Obama was running for re-election in 2012, a lot of those folks that were supporting Barack Obama, I'm talking about A-list Hollywood celebrities, or at least A-listers at the time, they would call in to WNOV and profess their support for Barack Obama. Probably one of the most powerful interviews I've ever done in my entire life, I don't even know what second place is, was Maya Angelou. Someone had been killed by the police. I think it was maybe Derek Williams. The cops had killed somebody. There was something going on in the city. And so I had to schedule an interview with Maya Angelou, and it was supposed to be about her talking about her relationship with the Obama family and then giving her perspective on how wonderful both Barack and Michelle were because they all had become friends. But I remember asking her about what it was like to grow up when she did and how she dealt with the incidences of racism that she experienced growing up in Missouri. And I remember her words being so comforting. And she and I was only scheduled to talk for like 15 minutes. We ended up talking for an entire hour. Maya Angelou was so impressed with me, which blew me away. The fact that I even had a chance to talk to her, let alone her being impressed with me. She asked, Ricky, was it you? Ricky is listening because he just chimed in on Facebook, but whatever, Ricky. Ricky, was it you or was it Keon? Because Maya wanted my mother's telephone number because Maya Angelou wanted to talk to my mother. She wanted to talk to the woman that raised me. And I was like, this is incredible. Not only did Maya Angelou call my mother, they became friends. My mother has a collection of signed books, Maya Angelou's poetry books, that Maya signed personally and wrote notes in to my mother. When I say that being on radio has brought opportunities, I'm not even going to say to me, to us, that I can't even explain them. Something else that should be known. So when I started with WNOV, I wanted to make sure that that radio station came back to the prominence that it once was. And I was making money consulting, and I was still able to consult and have my radio show. I did not take a salary. First of all, they didn't have one to offer me because they were just getting back in the swing of things. I don't even know if we had a sales staff yet. Sales staff came probably sometime later, certainly by 2013. In fact, I didn't get paid at WNOV until 2016. For 4 years, I went to work every day and tried to put together the best 3-hour radio shows I possibly could for no money. And here's the way I looked at it. Paying me would not have made me better as a broadcaster, and it was not going to make me love it more. I loved it. And the money that was starting to come in when we started to get, more, people were starting to see that we were back on air and we were getting a little bit more popular. The money that was coming in, I wanted that money invested in the infrastructure of the radio station. Because if I got paid and they didn't have money to invest in WNOV and bring other hosts on, then what would the point of that be? So the radio station now goes bankrupt because I took a salary. So as you can imagine, at some point in time, Sherwin did want to get paid, and then that's where we bumped heads because I watched us develop programming. I watched them renovate the entire building, and I took a lot of pride in that because it was my hard work every single day and taking zero salary that they were able to invest in that radio station and build it out, and I was really proud of that. For me, that was my wage, to know that the shows that I put together day by day, literally word by word, I would put my shows together. And the fact that I could see tangible improvements to that building and to our programming was literally worth its weight in gold. If you guys recall, I think it was March of 2013, WMCS 1290 was sold to a different radio station conglomerate, and they started broadcasting music. So we lost that institution. It is notable because if you listen to Black Talk Radio between 2013 and 2015, the only voice you heard on the air was mine. All of the hosts at WMCS had been fired. In fact, so I used to listen to WMCS on my way into WNOV because Eric Vaughn was on. And then my radio, of course, would still be tuned to 1290 WMCS when I was done with my radio show at WNOV. And I remember that day, TJ was on in the afternoons. And I remember expecting to hear TJ, and I heard Elvis music. You guys remember that? When WMCS changed their format, they played Elvis. It was such a slap in our faces. That morning, Eric Vaughn was on. I did my show, and by that afternoon at 12 noon, everyone had been fired. And they were playing Elvis. And so as I'm driving home, I'm going west on Capitol Drive, headed home. I was like, I got to stop by the radio station because I still had friends that worked at WMCS. I knew all those folks over there. So I remember when I pulled into the parking lot, because, you know, you have that alley behind the building. I saw locksmith trucks. And the front door, the lobby door, rather, was wide open so anybody could walk in. And they were literally changing the locks on all of the offices. It was heartbreaking because I needed and appreciated WMCS because they laid the foundation for what our talking points were going to be for the black community. But when they were gone, I didn't have an Eric Vaughn to rely on because many of us got our information from Eric Vaughn for many, many years. But I think that, as unfortunate as it was, it gave me a chance to really show that I could not only lead broadcasting in this city for my community, we could take conversations to new heights and go in new directions that I always thought WMCS was safe to the point where they were kind of boring. And I was able to change the dynamic and hopefully for the better change the culture of Black Talk Radio in the city. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
This is Lorenzo.
Lorenzo! You just won $5,000!
What would you do with $5,000?
That's sweet for a couple months.
Yes!
There you go.
Yes.
That just made me happy.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 101.7thetruth.com.
Can we hold something?
Y'all holler back at y'all.
I got money now.
Ho, 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 my back.
Santa?
Ho, 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 Gina Della from Pella. You've been a good girl this year.
Is that why you're in here building new windows?
Yes. Next year, how about just asking for a Pella gift card? My elves are used to designing windows from other places where they're all pretty much the same. But Pella? Ho, ho, ho. So many customizations and designs. My elves aren't qualified, so Santa has to put in some overtime. Ho,
Let me make a call. BRB.
Frighteningly fast Pella team at your service. Let us take it from here, Mr. Claus. And Gina, next time.
Yeah, I know. Santa already lectured me. Ask for a Pella gift card.
What if you need new windows or doors, but you're on the naughty list?
Then this will definitely help. Right now, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest for 24 months.
Ho, ho, ho! Visit the Pella site, and to all a good night.
PellaWI.com. Restrictions apply. It's 12/31/2025.
Your home has been working hard for you. Now it's time to let it work a little harder. With a home equity line of credit from Brewery Credit Union, you can turn the equity you've built into smart solutions. Pay off high-interest debt, remodel your kitchen, or take care of life's unexpected expenses with flexible access to funds when you need them. Apply today and put your home's value to work for you. Visit brewerycu.com or stop by Brewery Credit Union. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by NCUA. The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at HAWS Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact HAWS of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
Host an unforgettable outing and create special memories with your crew at a Milwaukee Bucks game. Groups of 10 or more can score ticket savings, block seating, and take part in special activities on game days. Showcase your team's talents on center court, score a high five from the pros, and more. There are great options for groups of all sizes. Start planning your ultimate Bucks basketball game day experience today at bucks.com/groups. That's bucks.com/groups.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Give Sherwin a hard time. I'm expecting you to reach out to me as well today. A couple of quick things just so folks know. If you got something on your mind, if you want to weigh in, I say this all the time. As long as you're not talking crazy, feel free to give me a call. We can be reached at 444.
Let me rewind this a little bit.
Today it is Michelle Bryant sitting in for Sherwin. I know that a lot of folks have reached out. Yesterday we didn't have Sherwin on the air, and a lot of folks reached out wanting to make sure Sherwin is okay.
Sherwin's fine.
I just want to make sure that I say right off the bat, as far as I know, everything is all right.
I'm good.
I was just asked to come in and cover for him this morning. So, Sherwin, we hope that all is well. We know that you had talked about some health issues when you returned.
I'm just very unhealthy in general.
And just want to make sure that you are good. Let you know we love you. You're in our prayers. And we are
it's the nicest Michelle has ever been to me.
In honor.
Now, I'm sure some of you know that apparently there was some dispute between me and her. I never had an issue with Michelle Bryant, ever. She had one with me, which is fine. So I'm used to being disrespected by other hosts. I don't know if there's another radio host in this city that has been disrespected more than me. You know who else did not like me? We kept this a secret, though. Eric Vaughn. Eric Vaughn thought that when WMCS 1290 went off the air and he got fired and he lost his job, he was upset that I was the only black voice that was on the radio because he think I didn't earn it. He think I didn't deserve it, which he had no bearing on that whatsoever. Why he interjected himself in my radio career was very disappointing because I looked up to Eric. I listened to him every single day. He even gave me opportunities to come on his radio show because when there were elections or campaigns going on, I was his subject matter expert. But he had an issue because he was now out of a job because the owner of WMCS decided they wanted to sell to white folks. And he was mad that I was on there. But a bigger beef than that, and then ultimately Eric Vaughn came over to WNOV. It was prickly, I'm going to say our relationship was. I never had an issue with him because why would I? He was an elder. He was someone I looked up to. He was someone I listened to every single day. But the worst was Earl Ingram. Earl Ingram would be blatantly disrespectful to me. Let me tell you why. So Earl Ingram is a black, super liberal, ultra progressive, and also thinks that black Milwaukee today is what black Milwaukee was in 1974. He was detached and he was disconnected. That also meant that Earl, when he was over at WMCS 1290, he supported other black candidates when we'd have primary elections. And if Earl's preferred candidate won, he wouldn't make it about his candidate winning. He'd be like, oh, stupid Sherwin Hughes supported the other candidate. And he used to just go in on me, which I don't know why he would do that because all it did was make my listenership go up. So WMCS goes off the air. We eventually absorbed. Ernie G came over. Debo came over. I told you earlier that Eric Vaughn came over. But the last one to come, the last one that WNOV offered a show to was Earl Ingram. We were reluctant because Earl Ingram was not only disrespectful to me, he was disrespectful to WNOV. He talked terrible about our radio station, but WNOV was the Black Legacy Heritage radio station, right? So I remember this. Earl had already put on social media that he was going to be starting at WNOV, and a lot of people wanted to hear Earl back on the radio because he did have a bit of a following for the years he was at WMCS. And there was a meeting that was to be had before Earl could start. He had already been extended the offer of employment. He accepted it. He posted all on social media like, oh, Earl Ingram is back. Everybody listen to me. I'm going to be on the air. But before he could actually start, Earl and I had to have a sit down. Now, I remember there was bad blood between me and him because he did not like me and did not like my either style of broadcasting or the candidates that I would prefer. And he took that stuff personal. I never took it personal. For me, all this is business. So I remember the general manager of WNOV at the time basically was like part mediator, part referee between this sit-down meeting that had to take place between myself and Earl Ingram. And I remember Sandra Robinson saying to Earl, you need to make sure that you are communicating with Sherwin and checking in with Sherwin. We don't want you guys overlapping when it comes to topics. She's basically just laying down the foundation of what our broadcast days are going to be like, but also make sure that Earl and I communicated. Earl was so offended by that. He stood up. He actually got in Sandra Robinson's face and said, I will never be communicating with Sherwin. I will never check in with him. At that moment, Sandra Robinson looked at me and said, Sherwin, you're free to go. You can go home. Next thing I know, Earl Ingram did not ever get a show at WNOV. They rescinded his offer of employment. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be back for hour 2.
Come in with straight truth.
If you acted up, if you were out here doing any kind of foolishness or just something that people know would make your family's name look bad, your neighbor from down the street, if they see the son or daughter, be like, what are you doing? They gonna call you out. They gonna let you know that they saw you, and then they gonna tell you, come here. Now you know I'm gonna tell your daddy.
That part.
There are a lot of times when people are new to an area, they don't know where to plug in. And anybody who plugs in the 101.7 The Truth and listen to you and Dame and Truth Nation would know that there is a significant public outcry when violence happens in our community. Don't worry about the outcry if you're not listening to the right people. So I would encourage her to tune in to 101.7 The Truth and listen to you guys, Denise Thomas, Dr. Ken Harris, Tori Lowe, and definitely Sherwin Hughes every day.
Watch all your favorite 101.7 The Truth shows by subscribing to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
You've noticed a change in your teen. They seem distant, and you wonder if it's the usual ups and downs or something deeper, like substance use or mental health struggles. If you're worried, why wait to reach out? Hazelden Betty Ford offers specialized care for teens and young adults, plus support for families. Call 1-855-489-2383 or visit WeGotYou.org, because love doesn't wait for a crisis, and change starts when you do. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
To help those who want to be helped, but may not be able to afford it.
That's what PGA Tour winner Grayson Murray had envisioned for a foundation before he sadly took his own life at just 30 years old. His parents channeled their grief into creating the Grayson Murray Foundation, carrying out his vision to help those struggling with mental health and addiction. To donate and learn more, visit GraysonMurrayFoundation.com.
Where strong voices meet strong opinions.
The district had as a whole was 59.5. That was awful. It was bad. But it is not just an MPS story. It is a story for the city of Milwaukee when you talk about some of these schools. So when we talk about the state of education, we just can't always talk about MPS. We got to talk about Milwaukee as a whole and why there are so many failing schools in Milwaukee. But we bash MPS, understand it is beyond MPS. MPS just has to educate your kids. But I love the fact that we have a new superintendent that is acknowledging that these scores are not good enough. I love the level of accountability. Casellia said in response to the results, she said, we need to grow more and faster to truly meet and exceed the expectations that our families and community have for us and the expectations we have for each other as educators. Our new literacy plan is the first step towards a stronger growth. And I love it.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from 12 to 1, streaming live on YouTube and on 1017 The Truth. You are listening to the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations. 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. It's kind of bittersweet for me because I come to find out that the foundational heritage radio station for the African American community going back better than 60, almost 70 years, has been sold to new management and ownership, and we've been going down memory lane and reminiscing a little bit. A lot went on in the confines, the very narrow universe of African-American talk radio. And there was many, many sacrifices that were made by many, many people, most of which you never even knew about, to make sure that we had programming in one form or another. Ultimately, WNOV came back to prominence. It was respected. It was recognized. They had interviews with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they had interviews with Jasmine Crockett. They got some of the same attention that we got here at 101.7 The Truth. And I take that, not only do I take it personally, I've got a tremendous amount of pride in what that radio station could have, what it became, considering that it was off the air. And by me going back and being very dedicated and not taking a salary for 4 years, I don't think y'all understand either how stupid that was or how much that sacrifice was. Because people would always ask me, damn, Sherwin, how much money you make? Because no one really knows how much money we make in radio. Like, if I ask you all to guess, the wildness of your speculations of how much money we make is very comical to me. So people would always ask, Sherwin, how much you getting paid? And I would tell people, nothing. And they look at me like I was crazy. And it was kind of heartbreaking because doesn't everybody have an endeavor that you so care about and that you so love so very much that you would do it for free? That money would not make you love it more? If you love something, if it is your calling, if it is your passion, I mean, money is great, but money was not the reason why I did what I did. Our community needs information. I don't know if you guys have recognized that or picked up on that. We are the most devoid people when it comes to critical information out of any other group that exists in this country. We are important, we are prominent, and our information that we get is pivotal because we have the chance to change the entire trajectory of the world. I say that because with a couple of percentage points in a different direction in about 5 or 6 states, the black vote could have elected Kamala Harris. That is pivotal. That literally would have changed the direction of the world. Venezuelans that were on those boats would be alive if Kamala Harris was president. People would not have to run scared from immigration and customs enforcement if Kamala Harris was elected president. Now, we can do the autopsy of that election all day, but I know that if the African American community had voted for Kamala Harris like we did for Barack Obama, the world would be a different place. And I think some of that is based upon misconceptions, misperceptions, and just an ignorance that we have about politics and how it actually works. And so if I'm able to provide that information and it helps someone understand a little bit better, and they now become a participant in democracy instead of a bystander, you don't have to pay me to do that. Noted disc jockeys have passed through the halls of WNOV over the years, including Bobby O.J., Jim Frazier, Michael Hightower, may he rest in peace, Earl Stokes. Earl, are you listening? Earl is posting a lot of weird AI stuff on Facebook. Rhea, sometimes I agree with you. Sometimes this AI stuff, it gets a little too out of control, because when people discover it, like when they see how it works and they find like an AI program or an AI app and they start like making videos and they start manipulating pictures, everybody starts off doing really weird stuff. And it's annoying. And shout out to Earl Stokes. Ernie G, may he rest in peace. Larry K. Miles. Others behind the WNOV microphone over the years included Maestro Steve Hegwood. Later, Steve Hegwood would become a top executive at Radio 1 and an owner and operator of several radio stations himself. Jerry Smokin' B, who moved on to programming and afternoon drives at V103 in Atlanta. Kevin Stone, who did afternoons at KJMZ, K104 in Dallas, mornings at KHYS 98.5 in Houston, and afternoons at WHRK in Memphis. He also went on to produce Brian McKnight Christmas specials and national talent for ABC radio networks. The Real Deal, Mike Neal, mornings at KYOK in Houston, afternoons at B94 and 104.7, The Beat and WJJJ in Pittsburgh, all worked at WNOV. Then he went on to go to KLAC in Denver. And, of course, Reggie Brown was at WNOV. He went to WGCI in Chicago, and then eventually Reggie Brown came back to Milwaukee and was at WKKV V100 for many, many years. Other notables include Rockman Jr., Homer Blow. Happy to see that Homer Blow is right over here with us at 101.7 The Truth. Can y'all just for a moment appreciate that the people that are here at 101.7 The Truth, we came from WNOV. The legacy of that place still exists. And I'm worried about it because I don't know what these white folks are going to do to WNOV. I'm troubled a little bit. I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm talking about it so much today, because I'm worried. I don't think Gerald Jones would have ever wanted his radio station sold to white folks, because if he did, he would have. I come to find out very recently that my maternal grandfather, Thomas Clark, who passed away when I was a wee tot, he died in 1978 when I was 3. Well, my grandfather, along with my grandmother, Mabel Clark, owned 40 acres in Atala County, Mississippi. Salis is probably the closest incorporated town to where my mother grew up, my uncle, my aunts. Very small town. I don't even know if it shows up on a map. And I come to find out very recently that before my grandfather died in 1978, I'm sure he had many wishes and many requests, but there was one in particular that my mother just told me about recently, and it stuck with me. He was very proud of that land that he raised his children on. He also trained hunting dogs. That's what my grandfather did to earn money for the family. But he told his children, so my 2 aunts, my uncle, and my mother, whatever you do with my land, do not sell it to the white folks. So I just found that out within the last couple of weeks that my grandfather said that. So how this works is the land that was owned by my grandmother and my grandfather has now then been conveyed to their children. My mother included, my aunt Renee, my aunt Linda, and my uncle Thomas Clark, who has passed away. So his 10 acres of that 40 acres has now been conveyed to his children, my 2 cousins, Thomas Jr. and Mark Clark. Eventually, myself and my brother Tyler will inherit that land, as will smaller shares of that land go to my other cousins and the sons of my Aunt Linda. I am going to make sure that that request is honored, that nobody in the lineage of my family ever sells that land to white folks. I feel the same kind of oneness and connectedness to WNOV. I never wanted the white folks to get it because you don't know how they're going to run it. You don't know if they're going to have the cultural understanding. Black radio is different. Why do people not get that? It is different. It is unlike anything that exists. It is unique. It is special. We are family. We depend on one another. I depend on y'all. And people they don't get it. This is more than just a business endeavor. This is where our community gets information from trusted sources because we can't trust them other folks. Let me tell you why we can't trust them other folks to deliver news to us. Because those other folks who provide news have always wanted to extinguish us. So we can't trust them in delivering information. Those other news sources have diminished, have defamed, and dethroned black culture since media existed in this country. Their media has never been in favor of us, but at least we have this. And I get nervous now when the white folks get it. And that's just me being honest. So I'm going to hope for the best for WNOV. I am marginally familiar with Civic Media. Earl Ingram I guess he has a show with. Yeah, I know, right? You guys didn't know that either. I know apparently he's got a show with Civic Media, and maybe they will do right by the legacy. Because the thing that I worry about is that the white folks try and shift gears when they own something that is uniquely and culturally black. And sometimes the gears that they shift become covertly anti-black community. From the Journal-Sentinel, Civic Media to acquire Wisconsin's first black-owned radio station and Milwaukee Courier newspaper. Civic Media is acquiring the state's first black-owned radio station and its sister weekly newspaper. The Wisconsin News and Progressive Talk Radio announced December 17th that it's adding WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM based in Milwaukee, and the weekly Milwaukee Courier newspaper. Civic Media will assume responsibility for programming at both outlets beginning January 1. Operations will be managed by Rob Biko Baker, who is part of the academic staff at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and a noted journalist. That's Dr. Biko Baker. See, here's another example. Dr. Biko Baker. If you're going to put his title in a newspaper, Journal-Sentinel reporter, put that man's title. He is a doctor. Now, he's a PhD. See there? That's already them showing their bias. Gerald Jones founded the weekly Milwaukee Courier newspaper in 1964 and had been its president and CEO for 61 years. Jones started the newspaper during the Civil Rights Movement and the desegregation of Milwaukee schools, a critical time for Milwaukee black residents to have a platform that reflected their views. Jones's Courier Communication bought WNOV in 1972, making it the first black-owned radio station in Wisconsin and one of only 30 in the United States of America, according to the station's website. He expanded his media holdings in 2013 with the purchase of the Madison Times, a black newspaper in Madison, Wisconsin. Jones's daughter, Mary Ellen, is the current owner and president of WNOV. She and her brother, Gerald, will consult and assist with the transition. Quote, I'm excited to help continue the legacy of the Jones family by working with Civic Media, Baker said in a statement. This is a historic opportunity to keep important organizations engaged with the community. This is exactly the vision that Mr. Jones had in mind. Jones's widow, Ernestine, said, when Gerald and I founded the Milwaukee Courier and WNOV, we believed that accurate information is powerful and our voices matter. As my family, I hate reading this. You pass the torch and the legacy of WNOV to white folks. It's not sitting well with me. I know it's not my issue, it's not my problem, and I have nothing to do with it, but I hate that we're losing our damn institutions. Can we have anything? I'm serious now. Can we have, as black folks, anything? Now, I don't know the circumstances. I don't know the reason why. Because I worked there for so long and didn't take a salary, I would typically say, well, okay, if they're going to sell WNOV to the white folks, then I hope they got millions and millions of dollars. I'm not going to say that because the dollar amount doesn't matter. The authenticity of that institution is gone. And here's the thing. Some of the folks over at WNOV for years, since we've been over here at 1017 The Truth, they had like a cultural leg up on us because they were still black owned. And they flaunted that, and rightfully so they should. They were still black owned, but now they aren't. So I guess they can say whatever they want to say about us over here at 1017 The Truth because we both owned by white folks. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. Can't leave him alone for a call.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tracy, going back to the process, and as it relates specifically to the partnership that Old National Bank has with Housing Resource, what does the process consist of when coming through this program?
It's a referral process. We work with clients that first-time homeowners that may not have the counseling that they need. They may not have the equity, the down payment that they need. So we refer them to our partners like HRI or Housing Resources, Inc., because we recognize that those organizations, they have the resources, they have the tutorial documentation and all of those things that are necessary for first-time homeowners that don't know the process, may not know the system, may not know what's required for home ownership. So working with Housing Resources Inc. and other partnerships that we have like through WIDA has been very.
They're feeling. They're just so welcoming and so sweet and kind.
It's like family. Caring about another member of the family.
If you've been injured, it costs you nothing to see if Gruber Law Offices can help.
The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at Hawes Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact Hawes of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
At Heart of Canal Street, for over 30 years, our hearts have been set on making a difference for children in our community. Now through December 10th, we invite you to share your heart by playing the Canal Street Bingo game at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Every time you play this special bingo game, you're helping to raise funds for children's charities in southeastern Wisconsin. Learn more at potawatomi.com/heart.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
.860 AM, WNOV, Milwaukee.
I better stop doing that. I'm sad, though, you guys. It's like, you know what it feels like? It feels like my mama divorced my father and remarried a white guy, which I shouldn't care about. But it's good to know that it was good to know that there was something that I was a part of rebuilding that stayed black-owned long after I left. There was something that gave me a kind of comfort that the work that we did was not in vain because it still remained under our control, and now it's not, and the future is very unpredictable for that institution. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way of the world, I suppose. So when WNOV came back on the air after the court proceedings, because it was sold to a bad actor who filed for bankruptcy and then tried to keep WNOV amongst his assets. When NOV came back in the spring and really the summer of 2012, they had to rebrand. And they rebranded as the new WNOV. Fast forward about another year or so, and then WMCS 1290, the other very prominent African-American radio station at the time, when they went off air because they got sold to white folks, Mr. Jones said to me, because I was the only one, like WMCS, all of their black hosts were off of the air. Like they were on a Monday, and on Tuesday they were all gone. So it was just me until 2015, until we started bringing over Eric Vaughn and other people from WMCS. Mr. Jones said, we're going to rebrand the station again because we were the new WNOV. And we had been back for a year and some change, so we weren't really new anymore. He said, we're going to rebrand the station The Voice. WNOV 860 AM The Voice. And I'll never forget this. I don't even know if I've ever told this story before. Mr. Gerald Jones said, Sherwin, you are the voice, and we are rebranding this radio station after you. I'm like, Mr. Jones, how do I even respond to an honor like that? But now that I think about it, you might as well rebrand it after me because he sure enough wasn't paying me, Rhea. So that's a very nice gesture to bestow someone that honor that we're going to rebrand the radio station after you, The Voice, because Sherwin, you're the voice, but I wasn't getting paid. I'm trying to think if I should tell that story about how we disagreed about money. Time came some years later, what year is this? This is 2020. Almost 2026. In 2018, I approached, no, it must have been a year before that. Because here's what's crazy, when people got paid at WNOV, so when Ricky got paid and when Keon got paid, Sandra Robinson, who was the general manager of WNOV, would walk in the studio and hand them their paychecks. Okay? Rhea's over here nodding her head because that's how you got paid at WNOV. They gave you a check. You got a paper check that they handed to you in an envelope. I need y'all to understand how hurtful that was to see. And Ricky deserved to get paid and Keon deserved to get paid. But I would watch my colleagues, I'd watch my producers get their paychecks and I didn't get one. Like I had to look away when Miss Robinson was giving those paychecks. I think that wore on me. I'm like, wait a minute, these brothers are getting paid every single 2 weeks, and we're all working very, very hard, but I'm not getting paid. But I said, no, because whatever money gets made, I wanted them to get paid. And if me hosting my show on WNOV, the Forum, was bringing in revenue, and that revenue came in hot and heavy, we were a hotbed for political advertising. I think that is the one. Maybe civic media will understand it, but Black Talk Radio gets fat during political seasons. That is where we make our most money because this is the most direct medium to black voters. Yeah, you can go to churches. Yeah, you can hire a bunch of people to knock on doors. But the amount of people that you can talk to and share your policy platforms with via black radio is worth its weight in gold. These candidates, especially white candidates that needed the black vote to win but didn't want to put forth the extra effort to actually hire black people from our community and have black folks from our community be organizers for the campaign, they would spend buku money on black radio. When I say buku money, it was extraordinary. Now, in the following years, black radio would get a little lean, okay? But the amount of money that I saw pass through WNOV during an election, let alone a presidential election, was staggering. Because it wasn't just the candidates. It wasn't just the presidential candidates. It wasn't just U.S. Senate candidates. It wasn't just Congresswoman Gwen Moore and her congressional campaign. It'd be like SEIU would spend money on behalf of the Democratic candidates and run buku commercials. And IBEW would run commercials. And the firefighters, Local 215, they all had political action committees, and they all would just flood WNOV with commercial advertising, and just the amount of money and profit that was made was just staggering. But the ownership and management of WNOV was intentionally political, and they had relationships with the campaign managers and with the candidates, and they had those relationships for many, many decades. That is why new ownership of black institutions don't have those same relationships, and you're not going to get the same money, because in this city, the money that you get and the business you get is about relationships. And if you do not have relationships with us and with our people, we're never going to spend a penny. We're not. Let's talk to Al from Sherman Park. You're on 101.7 The Truth.
Hey, Sherwin, how you doing?
I don't know. A little sad.
It's a sad day. I don't know if you remember, but somewhere about 2016, I ran into a person named Scott Fogle, who worked for the Democratic Party, and told me that his liberal friends were trying to buy WNOV to turn it into like a Air America type of network.
I believe it.
And I keep thinking back to those devil advocate people, which I thought were friends of his, and then I look and I see like one of them's associated with that new network, and it looks like they're based out of Madison, and it looks like they're going to push, in my mind, to go the way of the white liberal protest stuff that just does not work all day long. It may work in Madison. I don't know if that's going to work in Milwaukee.
It won't. It was tried because I was with Resistance Radio. So prior to 101.7 being owned by The Truth, 101.7 was owned by WRRD, and we used to broadcast on Brady Street. So a liberal white dude from Madison named Michael Crute, and then his partner, Dominic Salvia, hired myself and Earl Ingram. So Earl Ingram and I worked together at WRRD. Thankfully, we were on at opposite times of the day where we didn't have to see each other. But the understanding was these white boys were going to buy a radio station, hire black hosts with the expectation that all of the black businesses would hear me and Earl on the same radio station and just throw their money at the radio station. But here's what the white boys didn't understand. White, liberal, progressive radio can be as anti-black as Trump media can be. And they just had the expectation, like, oh, we're going to hire Sherwin and Earl, and all the blacks are going to come over here with their money. What ended up happening was they went bankrupt, and then 101.7 got purchased by Good Karma Brands because they put so much pressure on us because we're the blacks. And Sherwin, how come all the black people are not advertising on your show? I'm like, because the rest of the programming sucks. That's why. And black folks ain't no damn fool. Like, why do white folks think that we're that stupid? Well, there's black hosts and all the black businesses. We're not going to invest in garbage. But don't let me get on my soapbox. I don't want to get on it today.
I'll just say that the white liberals want to control black people, and they call you every nasty name when you don't go along with their agendas, but their agendas aren't always good for the black community. And I find it they're somewhat destructive, and they help us decline faster when that white liberalism gets involved in the black community. But that's my opinion. I don't see them lasting long, being based out of Madison, and I kind of feel sad that children of Gerald could not hang on to the station, because they also bought the newspaper.
Correct.
Journal, and I don't know what they're going to do with Community Journal. Maybe Michelle over there with the Pitts merger will underwrite everything, but I see she's probably going to have some fights and battles with them, the direction they're going. Anyway, sorry to bring you down further, but
no, that's all right.
See good things happen.
All right, I appreciate your call.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's also a reality. And I don't know the details and all that other stuff. I know this much. Civic media can and will operate at a loss. I'm trying to think of the owner of Civic Media. Is it mentioned in one of these articles? They own a bunch of... And there's no way their radio stations are profitable because they have radio stations that broadcast in like Oshkosh and Wausau, but it's liberal, like ultra-liberal, super progressive, left-leaning radio. And whatever... I can't remember what his last name is Weil. Weil. I can't think of what his first name is. Steve. It starts with an S. And he has so much money that, in fact, Kristen Bry used to work at Civic Media. Then she left Civic Media, and Kristen Bry is now over at TMJ. But they broadcast liberal, left-leaning talk radio all over the state. One of the issues that I have with the white liberals is, so there would be, I think it was when Dontre Hamilton was killed. That was one of many examples. So Dontre Hamilton was killed by Officer Christopher Manning. This is April 2014. And there were lots of either prayer vigils, there were marches because the community and our activists wanted Christopher Manning to be arrested for the murder of Dontre Hamilton. You guys remember this. Dontre Hamilton was just basically sleeping in a park. A park is a place where, people can sleep, and people didn't like him laying under the bench at the park, which is a public place. But that was that park, Red Arrow Park, where Starbucks also had a location. And so that was one of those public-private partnerships where Starbucks they moved in to their building in Red Arrow Park, but then Starbucks was responsible for the maintenance of the park, which when you think about it, it's a good idea because now the taxpayers of Milwaukee County are now responsible for the maintenance of the park. It's still a public park, but there's a partnership with Starbucks that they would assume the maintenance of the park, cutting the grass and doing all the landscaping and picking up the garbage and blah, 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 right? So it's still owned by us. It's still a public park, but Starbucks was a tenant that was essentially renting space, and in exchange for the lease that they had at Red Arrow Park, they would take care of the maintenance. It's still a public park. And so Dontre Hamilton was asleep under a bench. One of the Starbucks workers didn't like the fact that he was sleeping under the bench, so she called Christopher Manning on his cell phone. Then Christopher Manning takes his nightstick and wakes Dontre Hamilton up with his nightstick. Imagine you sleep when the cop comes and is poking you with a bat. Dontre grabbed the nightstick as a reaction, and Christopher Manning shot him 14 times. There was a vigil for Dontre Hamilton. White liberals showed up with clipboards asking people to sign on. I'm like, who are you people and why are you here? Well, we figured because there's a big collection of black people here, we want you all to sign on to our petition to legalize marijuana. I've never been the same after that because they had no respect for the fact that people were hurting, that a black man was murdered in a park. They wanted black signatures so that they could legalize weed in the state of Wisconsin. That is the kind of stuff that liberals do. They overlook the emotion of our moments because they need us to vote for their causes, but sometimes they never vote for ours. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Ready to hit the road in your new car? At Brewery Credit Union, we make it easy with affordable payment options on auto loans designed to fit your budget. Whether it's a brand new ride or the perfect used vehicle, we'll help you get behind the wheel faster. With flexible terms, quick approvals, and personalized service you can trust. Don't wait. Start your journey today. Apply online at brewerycu.com or visit us at Brewery Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 1017 The Truth.
And what are some of the ways that you're inspiring people? Because, one of the biggest opportunities, in particular in the African-American community, is access, exposure, and awareness.
For Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin, we've been here 76 years.
Wow.
And our mantra is saving the lives you love. So if someone you love needs a blood transfusion and they're in any hospital in Southeast Wisconsin here, that blood's coming from us. And so we're trying to make sure that we're communicating that, because I think folks maybe don't understand that blood can't be manufactured. And summers are always always tough because schools are out and we collect about 20 to 25% of our blood from schools. So it's always a day-to-day struggle. We say that the blood that's on the shelves is the blood that saves lives. And a lot of times people are compelled to donate when something bad happens. And our mission and our job is to educate folks so that we can get ahead of the curve and keep 3 days of inventory on the shelves. So we're in a decent spot right now, but we're on the streets every day trying to inspire people to join our mission. One of our big projects that we're proud of is Versity on King, which is part of the Thrive on collaboration in the Gimbel Schuster building on Martin Luther King Drive. And next year, we're going to open a destination center there. It'll be a blood donation center, but it'll be more than that because we've realized that we can't be transactional with our relationships in the Black community. We need to do things that are intentional and that show that we're there to stay. But the reason that we're there is because not enough people that look like us donate. And so for disorders like sickle cell disease that disproportionately affect us, the race can matter. But I like to say that, Black folks have a superpower in their blood. 44% of Black blood donors will have this rare trait that makes their blood more likely to be able to be a match for a sickle cell patient. And that 44%, that is way higher than what we would find in other races.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today. It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Things change, but Milwaukee can be everything that we want it to be if we put forth the effort, both politically and community-wise. This city can become whatever it is.
How do you gain and maintain the confidence of the rank and file officer? I also want to talk about during your tenure, there was a lawsuit where you're a reverse discriminator, Chief Jones, and the court sided with those folks that said that probably does not help gain the confidence, especially at the time of the white officers. How do you walk that fine line of being, responsible for public safety in the city of Milwaukee, but also maintaining a good relationship with other officers?
Well, basically, within the rank and file, your desire is not to be, or it's not going to happen that the rank and file is going to love you, but they have to respect you, and they have to know that what you say you want to see them do, and the things that you say, the policies that you set, that you're going to see to it that those are adhered to. You expect what
you guys remember Milwaukee Police Chief Arthur Jones?
I never asked him to do anything.
Well, he was in town. This was, I have the year on this broadcast, 2015. Yep. Who was so we had Alfonso Morales, Ed Flynn, that's the fella's name. I couldn't think of his name. So Ed Flynn was either leaving or he left. His contract was not renewed. And I remember Art Jones happened to be in Milwaukee. He lives in Atlanta now. And here's the thing about Art Jones. Art Jones is in his 70s. He looked like a kid, though. He looked like he was in his 40s, living his best life in Atlanta with that big old fat police pension. You're welcome, former Chief Art Jones, because they just raised our damn taxes, our property taxes, and our sales taxes to pay your pension. So I hope you living it up in Atlanta. Oh, the chief knows that I love him. But here's what's crazy. So he had some real bad blood with the previous mayor, John Norquist. Oh, don't worry. I got an archive of an interview with Mayor John Norquist in my files here in front of my face. I may play a little taste of that. John Norquist set the path that Milwaukee is on right now. I want you all to be aware of that because part of listening to this program is learning about the history of Milwaukee. Do y'all know that 25 years ago, downtown was nothing? Now, we had the mall. This mall that I'm in right now, well, it's not a mall anymore. It's the 3rd Street Market Hall, but it used to be the Grand Avenue Mall. John Norquist envisioned Milwaukee to be a city with a vibrant downtown, with condos, with apartments, with shops, with stores, with neighborhoods, with restaurants, with music venues. He envisioned all of that because remember, 25, 30 years ago, we still had the 145, the freeway that blocked all of the land where the Fiserv Forum is. So all of that land could not be developed because we had that stupid-ass freeway that was blocking all of that land. Freeway got torn down, and what did? We built a new basketball arena. But John Norquist envisioned Milwaukee being a destination, being a tourist attraction, being a convention city. He was way ahead of his time. So all of the things that Tom Barrett did and the continuation of things that Mayor Cavalier Johnson did was set forth by a pioneer and a visionary that was John Norquist. But John Norquist and Art Jones hated each other. In fact, Art Jones would often refer to Mayor Norquist as a slave master. And then Art Jones, of course, sued the city of Milwaukee, and I think he won his settlement. But here's what's crazy about when he was in town in 2015. And when I heard Art Jones was in town, I had to do an interview with him over at WNOV. I just had to. We were in transition of chiefs. I don't know if Alfonso Morales had arrived yet or if he was acting chief, but we were in like a weird space to where we weren't sure who the next chief was going to be or whoever the current chief was, if they were going to stay. And I remember asking Chief Jones, if they asked you to come back and be chief of the city of Milwaukee again, would you do it? And he basically said yes, that he would consider moving back from Atlanta. He still owns a house here. I think he still owns his house in Sherman Park, so it wouldn't be that difficult of a transition for him because he's still, up until 2015, he owned property in Milwaukee still. But the fact that he sued the city of Milwaukee and won, but under Tom Barrett, he would have wanted to be police chief again. And I thought about that. How would the city be different? Because he promoted tons of black and women officers, tons. You guys know what happened after that? So Art Jones becomes chief in, 97, maybe, somewhere around there, promotes black officers that, Dr. Ken would probably be better to explain this. Black cops weren't getting promoted under white leadership with the Milwaukee Police Department until Art Jones came in, because there were black cops who earned their promotions. In fact, hold on now, I bet you Dr. Ken Harris was promoted by Art Jones. Doctors, you listen. If you are, let me know. I think Dr. Ken Harris may have actually been promoted by Art Jones. White officers thought, it's almost like a replay of what's going on right now with Donald Trump getting rid of DEI, and anybody in the military who achieved high rank lost their rank when Pete Hegseth became Secretary of Defense, because Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and the whole administration believe that if black people are promoted, it's something about affirmative action and DEI, both of which are no longer in effect in the Trump administration. So when Art Jones came in and promoted deserving women and black officers, some officers were black women that got promoted, white officers thought that those promotions were due to them. And the white officers sued for reverse discrimination because they didn't think that the black officers that got promoted, remember, you have standards that you have to meet in order to get a promotion in the police department. And the black officers all met the standards but were not getting promoted, or at least not at the level and the rate that they should have. Art Jones becomes chief. He's like, I'm promoting all of y'all because you've earned it and you deserve it. White officers felt slighted that they didn't get those promotions. The white officers sued the city of Milwaukee. The white officers won, got their promotions. So the black officers were demoted. The white officers got their promotions, and the white officers got damages. They got back pay. Because let's say the white officer was supposed to be promoted in 1999. And they didn't win the lawsuit until, let's say, 2001. Those white officers got the pay difference going back to when the lawsuit first started. So they got 2 years, in some cases probably 3 years, of back pay, and they got their promotions. So when we talk about the institutional racism in Milwaukee and the need for black media to explain that to people, that is why these institutions are so incredibly important. Prior to coming here, I worked for WRRD, which was 1510 AM and 101.7 on the FM dial, with that broadcast studio being on Brady Street. And I worked for, let's just say, there were irresponsible radio station operators. Let me tell you why they were irresponsible. Let me qualify this. They smoked marijuana all throughout the day. I don't care if you smoke weed. I really don't. Smoke all the weed you want. Get a bunch of Doritos and get the munchies. Go get you some ice cream and some Taco Bell. Do whatever you want. But they would smoke marijuana at the radio station. So if you walked in the back of that radio station on Brady Street, you would smell the marijuana. In fact, they would have a marijuana pipe because there was a kitchen. We had a kitchen in that radio station. Right above the kitchen sink was a pipe, so anybody that wanted to get high throughout the day could get high. You know how disgusted I was by that? How do you not take the endeavor serious to where you just have the host of other shows would smoke weed? I didn't, Earl didn't, but pretty much everybody else did. How can you even take the endeavor seriously? But here's what the most embarrassing thing was. Like, I interviewed Eric Holder. I interviewed all sorts of high-level officials. They would come to that radio station, the other 101.7 before it was owned by Good Karma. You know how embarrassing it is to have a high-profile guest walk into your radio station for an interview and they smell weed? I'll never get over that. And I can get over a lot of stuff, but that is something that I never can get over. And, of course, that radio station did ultimately go bankrupt. They went out of business. But like, that's one thing that I can guarantee y'all. I'm going to be sober when it depends on how much I had to drink the night before. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm here, I am stone sober because you all deserve it. And so I have no respect for people that do not respect how important this medium is. And if you're going to get high and then broadcast, you shouldn't be anywhere near a microphone. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
So let me ask you, when the government, and again, I'm doing the air quotes, tightens the belt, who's standing underneath the belt when it snaps back?
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
Don't want you to agree. Honestly, should I be transparent? I don't really care if you agree. I, like you, want to be heard.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 101.7 The Truth.
Ho, 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 my back.
Santa?
Ho, 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 Gina Della from Pella. You've been a good girl this year.
Is that why you're in here building new windows?
Yes. Next year, how about just asking for a Pella gift card? My elves are used to designing windows from other places where they're all pretty much the same. But Pella? Ho, 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 so many customizations and designs. My elves aren't qualified, so Santa has to put in some overtime. Ho,
Let me make a call. BRB.
Frighteningly fast pellet team at your service. Let us take it from here, Mr. Claus. And Gina, next time.
Yeah, I know. Santa already lectured me. Ask for a Pella gift card.
What if you need new windows or doors, but you're on the naughty list?
Then this will definitely help. Right now, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest for 24 months.
Ho, ho, ho! Visit the Pella site, and to all a good night.
PellaWI.com.
Service restrictions apply. 12/31/2025.
The holiday season is here, and the countdown to 2026 has begun at Lake Lawn Resort. With all the holiday stress happening these days, imagine waking up next to a cozy fire in your own private suite along the shoreline of Delavan Lake. Enjoy much-deserved pampering at the award-winning Calidora Spa and special holiday dining options throughout the resort all month long, including at the signature 1878 on the lake. Book your holiday escape today, and don't forget to purchase those last-minute gift cards and receive free bonus money at Lake Lawn Resort, where the spirit of the season comes to life and everything is truly better at the lake. Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Seriously injured? Make one call. That's all.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Let's see if this works. Reason why that barrier exists?
No, there is no reason. There's no logical, rational reason other than it's one of those places where the legislature.
Who is this? This is Verona Swanigan. This is when we had an African American woman running for district attorney against John Chisholm in 2016, and there was a cohort of black women in the city of Milwaukee that did not support nor endorse another black woman that was running for.
It's not often
district attorney.
Choice.
But you know who else?
It up is because the Koch brothers said they want to.
She said the Koch brothers. There's another person.
I got to come to the voters and tell them where I'm going to make that up because
you know who this
taxpayers don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So these
you
are
know who this is, Rhea?
Decisions that people get to make. But here's another thing.
Oh,
here's
you know
the thing
this.
that really gets me.
What gets you?
Sanctuary cities are havens for criminal illegal aliens.
Now, hold on now. Let me just give y'all a little bit of an update here. He was talking about sanctuary cities in 2015. Trump is talking about sanctuary cities in 2026. Does that help you figure out who it is? Let me play a little bit more.
Here's how it works.
How's it work?
If you are a criminal illegal alien, you know who you're most likely to prey on? Other illegals. You know why? They can't go to the police for fear of being discovered that they're in the country.
Oh, it probably was
Rhea
before your time.
So those crimes go unreported.
This was.
We're talking about some serious crimes here, folks. We're talking about
Sheriff David Clark.
That goes unreported because the victim doesn't want to be discovered to be in the country illegally. We're talking
Sheriff
about
Clark
abuse.
tried so desperately to join the first Trump administration. So when I interviewed him, I'll never forget this day. So he was in the studio with me. This was,
victims are afraid of
what's the date? It was 2015. January 30th, 2017. That's right. He was trying to join the Trump administration because Trump had just been inaugurated 11 days prior to that interview that I just played. So when he came to the studio, he was wearing a Trump 45 hat. And if any of you are familiar with where WNOV is, it's right on the corner of 20th and Capitol, and there's this huge window. So anybody driving past or anybody stopped at the red light on 20th and Capitol, you can see everything and everybody that's in the studio. You can see the producer, you can see the host, you can see the guests. The number of horn honks we got with David Clark wearing that Trump hat in that studio, I will never, ever, ever forget. Here's where it got even worse. Because I interviewed David Clark, who was for a period of time a major conservative firebrand in Milwaukee County and quite honestly nationwide, the hate that I got because I interviewed him was one of the worst. I got hate from other radio hosts. I got hate from listeners and callers, and my perspective at the time was, I know that people don't like David Clark. They didn't like his rightward shift. They didn't like the fact that he was a Trump sycophant. But I would rather have the conversation with him and let you all hear what he has to say instead of just banishing him to the dustbin and not having the conversation with him. I tried to be as objective as possible and just let him explain his side of the story. Now, here's the other thing. For all the people that were mad at Sheriff David Clark won sheriff every single 4-year term he ran because black folks supported him. But it was crazy that when he became a Trump supporter, then those same black folks, I mean, they regretted it, but they still voted for him because he got reelected in didn't we reelect him in 2016? I'm almost positive that we did. Because he came out for Trump the year before. Because Trump started running for office in 2015. David Clark was a supporter because David Clark wanted to be the director of the Department of Homeland Security. It obviously didn't work out for David Clark, but, the rest is history. But no, I got a lot of hate for my interview with him because I think people wanted me to press him. And that wasn't the only time I interviewed David Clark. I interviewed him several other times before. They wanted me to be mean to him and be disrespectful to him. For those of you that have never done this endeavor, it's not easy to look somebody in your face. And at WNOV, when you interview somebody, they're 18 inches away from you. You're not going to be talking all that mess because it's too uncomfortable. It's very unprofessional. There was an objective way that I can interview basically anybody. It's a skill set that I had to develop because some of y'all wouldn't last long in this business if you just want to be disrespectful and mean to people that you don't like. Because what will happen is people won't want to go on the air with you. I don't do that ambush style. There's other hosts that do that. Like they'll get somebody in the studio and they're just going to be mean to them. Even when I interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene, I really could have tore her ass up. I mean, I asked her a direct question. I said, are you a racist? She said, of course I'm not a racist, Sherwin. I said, is Donald Trump a racist? She said, well, I don't think he is anyway. I'm a Christian nationalist. Well, what does Christian nationalism mean? Well, it means you're a Christian and you're a nationalist. And then at the end of the interview, she said, Sherwin, you know what? For a left-leaning communist liberal that you are, I'd actually come back to your show because for an old lefty communist socialist Democrat, you ain't so bad. Oh, country ass. And I tried to take her up on it. I've been reaching out to her office since she decided she's not running for re-election in Congress and since she had her break from Trump. Oh, now she acting like she don't know nobody no more, Rhea. I remember her country ass wearing that. Hold on now. Let me back up for a second. She was wearing the hell out of that blue dress. Relax, everybody. She works out. Okay, I'm just giving her compliments on her diet and her exercise regimen. She was wearing a blue. I'm just saying, she was wearing. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't look at me like. I didn't do nothing.
This is a sick Negro.
Huh? I mean, I didn't do nothing. The dress was. I'll be honest with y'all. I don't know if you can see it in the interview that I did because we have it somewhere on YouTube. That's not how a member of Congress should dress. She looked like she was ready to go to the club. And I'm thinking to myself, you are the Honorable Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you wearing a freakum dress. You know what I mean? But look, ladies, I'm not here to tell y'all what you can and cannot wear. You can wear a freakum dress if you want to. So here's what I think I should do. Should we get back to regularly scheduled programming? Because I do want to share with you all some information that I found about how black children can do dramatically better in school when they have the appearance of at least one black teacher. We'll probably talk about that for Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be back for Hour 3 in just a couple minutes.
He's the voice for the people and the community's connection to change.
It is what it is. It's taxpayers' dollars. It's like monopoly money. It's like, you know what? We can just pay our bills with this money. You know what? The homeless, they already out there. They already in the tent. I walked past the other day. They were out there having fun and singing and stuff like that. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is the attitude. Like, you know what? We're going to just take this money, right? We'll think about this in 2 months. We'll reconvene after we pay off our bills, and see what we got left.
Yeah, Christmas coming up.
Yeah, we got Christmas coming up. Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's just like this nonchalant attitude with the taxpayers' dollars. You know what? Look at MPS. Look how much money we threw at MPS right here in the city of Milwaukee. We throwing money at these places. Like, it ain't like they don't have the funding.
The Tory Lowe Show, weekdays from 1 to 4 p.m., live on YouTube and right here on 101.7 The Truth. Breaking down the issues that shape our city and our future.
A talk. It's called the Senate Civil Suits for Unauthorized Data Seizures. In the continuing resolution that had to be voted on in order to open the government, authorizes U.S. senators to file civil lawsuits against the U.S. government, including the Department of Justice, for up to $500,000 in damages per violation if federal law enforcement seizes or subpoenas their phone or other data without prior notification. Hold on, wait a minute. If you have been accused of a crime and there's evidence and probable cause, and the federal government or any investigating agency gets a warrant from a judge to seize your cell phone records, there's nothing you can do about that.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 to noon. Catch it live on YouTube or tune in to 101.7 The Truth.
I'm Angela Bassett.
As a first responder on screen, I know what it means to act fast in an emergency. In real life, the same urgency can save lives, especially when it comes to a food allergy. For 33 million Americans, one bite can turn an ordinary meal into a life-threatening reaction. And too often, they don't have the one thing that could save them: epinephrine. But emergencies don't wait. And when a severe reaction happens, being prepared makes all the difference. Now, there's a needle-free option, a new way to carry epinephrine that makes it easier than ever to be ready. No needles, no hesitation, because when the unexpected happens, the best thing you can do is be ready. Know the risk, know the options. Be ready to act. Learn more at foodallergy.org/ready to act.
We are the home of Milwaukee Black Talk. 1017 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. See, now y'all got me going down memory lane. I got all these archives and stuff pulled up. I'm going to play one more. Can I play one more? Everybody needs to relax. Everybody calm down. And first of all, can somebody tell me who Lady B is in the YouTube chat? Because I'm being harassed sexually. I don't like that. That's not fair to harass a person sexually. If a man says he's being sexually harassed by a woman, does anybody even take us seriously? If I said, Rhea, I'm being sexually harassed by a woman, please help me, you probably slap me in the face and laugh.
No, I would take it seriously. I'd help you.
How? No, you wouldn't.
What do you mean, how? Do you not want my help?
Of course I want your help if I'm being sexually harassed by a lady.
Then don't be asking me how I'm going to get it.
Okay, so it's only sexual harassment if they're unattractive. Because if she's attractive, then I'll just be like, girl, stop. You play too much. Girl, stop. Oh, you tripping. Don't be doing all that. But if she's unattractive and she's sexually harassing me, ma'am, I have boundaries. Why are you violating my personal space? I feel very uncomfortable around you. Unattractive lady sexually harassing me. But if the lady is cute, I'll be like, why are you doing that? You know you can't do that here. Put that away. You can't be showing me that in public. What's wrong? Do I want to touch it? You know what I mean? That's the difference. If I'm trying to find out who Lady B is. I have some information here about what we can do to improve student performance, because I'm worried about what the future workforce of the city of Milwaukee is going to be, because it's not going to be immigrants, because we don't want them here apparently, because they're bad. So if you don't want immigrants here, and we're going to have demands and needs for labor, I think that data centers are going to be important. I think we're going to need more computer programmers. We're going to need more IT professionals. This is all great, even though some of y'all are afraid of what AI may do. Until that day comes where we need to be afraid of it, let's try and embrace technology, because people are also afraid of what the internet might become. That probably was a founded fear, because now the internet is literally too much. But when it was this new novel technology, people were worried about, it's going to take jobs and it's going to do all these terrible things to the economy. Yes and no, I suppose. But we all often have the fear of the unknown. And AI probably is some fear of the unknown. So let's not panic yet. But I do know we are still going to need a future labor force in the city of Milwaukee. And if The Milwaukee public school system continues on its trajectory. I talked about this yesterday. The majority of public school children in this country are non-white. They are black, they are Latino, they are Asian, they are multiracial. And that trend is going to continue because that trend of public school students is following the overall demographic trends of America. Even though children in America right now are even more diverse than adults. If that makes sense to you. Right now, the majority of children in America in 2025, almost 2026, the majority of children under the age of 18 are children of color. Black, Latino, Asian, multiracial. That is going to continue. And then it's going to be people under the age of 21 are majority minority, then 25, et cetera, until we are fully a majority minority country. So if you were talking about education and we're talking about public education, which a lot of you think is broken, I think it's working exactly how it's supposed to, because if you believe that there is racism, and some of you don't think racism exists anymore because Barack Obama got elected. You might say, oh, Sherwin, racism is a thing of the past. We elected Barack Obama in 2008 and reelected him in 2012. There's no more racism. Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to argue with you. But if you are someone that believes that racism does exist and it's been repackaged and recreated, then that same racism that has been repackaged and recreated could be a reason why black women still have higher rates of maternal mortality, why black children, newborn black children, have higher rates of infant mortality, why black children have lower test scores when it comes to reading, math, and reading comprehension. You know that it is literally possible for the racism that exists in these systems and structures to negatively impact black progress. You do know that that's the whole intent of racism in the first place, because if we as black people are ill-prepared via their institutions, then they're going to be able to outcompete us. That's the whole point. There has never been a time, ladies and gentlemen, when white people in America said, you know what? Let's see if we can get the blacks to be as successful as possible so that we can be competitive with them. America's never wanted that. In fact, I would argue that we're moving in the opposite direction. I sure wish they could have found black owners and operators for WNOV. And the owner of Civic Media, whose name is Sage Weil, is his name. He's already operating at a loss with all of his radio stations. Why not front the money to black media professionals? Hell, I would have bought WNOV. I'd have to do some changes. But I would have bought it. Front the money. If you really care about the progress of the black community, there are some institutions that need to remain in our hands. Could you imagine, what's a prominent black church nowadays? Is Christian Faith Fellowship, is that one that you all would rank high? What about Christ the King? What about the Holy Redeemers? Holy Cathedral. What's another prominent black church? Big old mega church. We got a bunch of them in the city. Could you imagine like some of these institutional, foundational, like St. Mark's? Imagine if St. Mark's sold to white people. It'd be insane, right? A black church that has been around. I think St. Mark's has been around for over 100 years, probably 120 years. And imagine an institution like that that served as a gathering point and a meeting point for fellowship and for community and for organizing, whether it be for an election, whether it be for the civil rights movements and protests and marches. Imagine if an institution that has that kind of rooted history in our community got sold to a white corporation. It takes the wind out of your sails because there is no way. I have not in my life seen anything that was, it's got to be the transition, right? It was black owned, then white owned, and then expected to be the same way and have the same output as when it was black owned. Because white people have different perspectives on stuff. Two things that I get frequently. Because, you know, white people listen to the show. Shout out to the whites. I know you're out there. You're welcome to listen and participate and call it. Some of them do call in. Some of them are even very complimentary. But you know what I hear from them? Especially those that just have no understanding of culture. Just none, right? They'll say, Sherwin, Why are you always talking about race? Why don't you bring everybody together? I have heard that once a week for the last 15 years, easily. Sherwin, you have an obligation, responsibility. Why are you always talking negatively about race? You need to bring everybody together. It is amazing how white people will put that responsibility on our shoulders, but they won't take any responsibility themselves to bring people together. Sherwin, you have an opportunity. It's almost like, hey, N-word, they gave you a microphone. Now you need to make nice with everybody. Don't tell us how you actually feel. Don't tell us actual history and tell us how these institutions have broken the back of the African-American community. Don't say that because we don't want to be reminded of that. You need to bring us all together. Sherwin, you need to make me as a white person feel less guilty about how racist I am. I will never do that. In fact, I might do the opposite. It's like a man telling a woman broadcaster that woman needs to make that man feel more comfortable about his repeated sexual abuse because he doesn't want to hear about it anymore. Because, his sexual abuse of women was in the past. So if a woman broadcaster gets on a microphone and talks about how women are harmed repeatedly and consistently from men, a man calling up and saying, look here, woman, you need to bring us all together, men and the women, including the men that sexually assault. Stop dividing us with your talk about how you were abused. It's the exact same thing. Same thing. Sherwin, you gotta bring us together. The other thing is, and this one bothers me, when I tell people what time I get here. Why do y'all think that I just walk in here at 9 o'clock in the morning? Like, oh, Sherwin, you don't have to be at work until 9 o'clock. You think I just walk in off the street and just walk into the studio? I can't do that. I got to get here at 7 something. Like, oh, Sherwin, why are you there so early? Because I got to read a bunch of stuff and try and figure out what angle makes sense and how I can move the needle, because otherwise I'm wasting time. That's why I end my shows with, what have we learned today? Sometimes the answer to that is nothing, so for that I apologize. Sorry, guys. I haven't checked the YouTube chat for a while. What y'all talking about? Reginald says in 1987, the Milwaukee Police Department starting salary was $17,000. Ha! You can't live off of that, even in 87. How much money is that in today's monies? Let's do it real quick. Let me see. $17,000. And that's terrible. Why would you want to be a cop for that little money? In 1987. How much is that today? Well, hold on now. That's $48,482. That is crazy. So that's basically like a tripling. So $17,000 in 1987. If you made $17,000 now, you're going to die. Like, you can't afford anything for $17,000. It is amazing how inflation has just reduced the value of a dollar to almost nothing. 17 grand. So what is that? $1,500 a month? You can't even afford a Barada property for $1,500 a month. That's wild. Reginald says, I waved off pursuing a career in law enforcement in Milwaukee. Dang. Remain on active duty and get a world tour if I'm going to get shot at. I don't know if police get shot at a lot. Hey, will y'all ask Dr. Ken this afternoon if he ever shot somebody? Is that a personal question? He was a cop for a long time. Well, hold on though, Rhea. If he shot somebody, it would be public, because when cops shoot people, it's news. It's not like he shot somebody and then no one knew about it. It's both news and public record. A police officer who is a public servant, if they draw their service weapon and they fire it because they feared for their life, or they fear for somebody else's life. That the details of it might be kept secret if it's an investigation. But if a cop shoots somebody, even the chief will come out and say, hey, we had an incident at 3:15 p.m. on the corner of 19th and Locust where a police officer was confronted by a suspect. The police officer drew their service weapon and they fired 2 shots. An ongoing investigation is underway. The police officer is going to be on desk duty until we determine blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's public. I think if Dr. Ken shot somebody, we'd know. I think so. He handcuffed me one day. I don't know if you guys, did I have it on camera? Well, I had these, like, they were metal handcuffs, but they weren't real. I don't know why I brought them in. Who knows, my freaky ass. So I brought some handcuffs into the studio one day, and Dr. Ken was here, like out in the little common area or whatever, and I think that he maybe heard me talking about the handcuffs. Do y'all remember that? Because I think he handcuffed me on camera. He came in the studio while I was broadcasting, grabbed my handcuffs, and put my hands behind my back and cuffed me. Dr. Ken ain't lost a beat. He still has cop muscle memory, I think. Don't mess with that man. All right, why don't we do this? I said I was going to talk about student performance. I'll get started on it. Here's an evidence-based outline of the academic and long-term benefits black children experience when they have at least one black teacher, including impacts on reading, math, attendance, graduation, and college pathways. So let me pause and put a pin in that for just a very brief moment. That's my new phrase, by the way. Let's put a pin in that, Rhea. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in that. You keep telling black men in particular to go be a welder, be a plumber, be a carpenter, be an HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning technician. You tell black men who you all think are wayward, go and get a job in the trades. Why are we not telling black men to be teachers? Because just the appearance of a single black teacher and a black child's academic career dramatically improves their outcomes and dramatically improves their success. We're going to need a trained and educated workforce in the city of Milwaukee because that educated and trained workforce is probably not going to be immigrants because we're making it damn near impossible for them to come here. So why not train and encourage more African Americans and black women too? We need to get our asses in the classroom now because this is going to ensure the maximum possible success for what I believe is going to be the future workforce in the city of Milwaukee. As of right now, the city is 40% African American. And that number is probably going to grow to an even higher percentage. But if we are not outputting graduates and people that are ready for higher education and ready for professional and technical careers, then our workforce in this city is going to falter. We'll discuss that on the other side. You were listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This season, the Bucks are going for it all.
A game winner for the Greek Freak.
Go inside the team's pursuit of a championship on Locked In, the new season of the Behind the Bucks podcast, narrated by Bucks legend Marcus Johnson. Hear from the team stars on why they think they can make history. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Ho, 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 my back.
Santa?
Ho, 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 Gina Della from Pella. You've been a good girl this year.
Is that why you're in here building new windows?
Yes. Next year, how about just asking for a Pella gift card? My elves are used to designing windows from other places where they're all pretty much the same. But Pella? Ho, 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 so many customizations and designs. My elves aren't qualified, so Santa has to put in some overtime. Ho,
Let me make a call. BRB.
Frighteningly fast pellet team at your service. Let us take it from here, Mr. Claus. And Gina, next time.
Yeah, I know. Santa already lectured me. Ask for a Pella gift card.
What if you need new windows or doors, but you're on the naughty list?
Then this will definitely help. Right now, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest for 24 months.
Ho, ho, ho! Visit the Pella site, and to all a good night.
PellaWI.com.
Restrictions apply. It's 12/31/2025.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but the way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for more than 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices, proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
With U.S. Attorney James Santel. Then at 3:30, there's a press conference and rally outside the steps of the federal courthouse, 517 East Wisconsin Avenue, followed by a march and a rally to Red Arrow Park. And then
that's where Duntree was killed.
That is correct. Travel to
that's Jesse Jackson.
Holy Temple Firstborn Missionary Baptist Church, 4957 North 18th Street.
It's a lot of stuff.
And at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a rally at Holy Temple Firstborn Missionary Baptist Church. Doors open at 5:30, and that is open to the press and the public. And hopefully, by being here and going to all these different events and meeting with all these important leaders and stakeholders.
If you want to win the game, you can't just be a spectator.
Absolutely.
So many people that listen to Dr. King preaching, and my heart rejoices all over again watching him give that address on that night, is that people observe but do not participate. No one has the right to be on the sideline, because if you have not lost a child, you're next. If your neighbor's house is on fire and the wind's blowing, you are next. This level of injustice in housing, education, health care, and we must not adjust to being second-class citizens.
Reverend Jackson, how do we get others involved? When I say others involved, not just our people, because it's easier to have the conversation with them, but what about the folks that live in suburbia? Everything is fine. You're making much to do about nothing. You're starting a racial, conversation that didn't ever exist. Those are the ones who can be the most difficult.
There are a lot of whites on march and a lot of blacks on march. So you have to get people who are conscious, who step up to the plate. I've seen been encouraged by an awful lot of white students in these protests.
It should be noted that the Reverend Jesse Jackson is on hospice. These might be the very last days that we have Reverend Jackson. Let's talk to Jay. You're on 1017 The Truth. Hi there, Jay.
What's going on, my man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I can't complain. I was just calling in because sometimes, you said something about wayward kids and coming to go be plumbers and welders. Most of the time, they're not thinking about school when they, you know what I mean? And they get in trouble and they have violent crimes. And it's so much harder to get a job when you have a violent crime. And, drugs is one thing, but the violent crimes, they will keep you from getting a job. I got a young guy right now trying to help him out. He got the violent crime. I'm a plumber. This is what I do. My whole family did it. In the trades and whatnot. But, my son graduated from college. I see the value of a college education. I did a little college. I get it. But the hard thing is when they got the violent crimes, what else are they going to do? Because they still got to eat.
Jay, what percentage of our kids do you think commit violent crimes? It's less than 1%.
Well, I'm not going to say how many.
I don't want us to think that oh, our kids aren't going to have any job opportunities because they're all committing violent crimes. No, we only hear about the kids that are committing violent crimes. 99.9% of our children have never committed a crime ever. Now, we might see some hooligans out in the street, but the overwhelming majority of our kids are not violent criminals, and I kind of resent the reference. I'm just saying we need to offer...
I'm not. I'm just telling you from my own experience.
Correct. That is your own experience. And if you work with kids that have had violent crimes, then of course you would think that a whole bunch of kids do have violent criminal backgrounds, but the vast majority of our kids do not. All I'm trying to say is that we need black teachers. We need black welders. We need black plumbers and carpenters. We need all that. But we've been hearing about the trades since forever. But what about the people that are going to train and teach the black welders and the black plumbers? These kids got to learn math. They're going to have to learn social studies. They're going to have to learn geography.
I'm with all of that. Yes, I'm with all of that. I understand the value. Okay. No, I get that. All I'm saying is we cannot tell a kid don't go make $150,000.
Well, not all of them.
You know what I'm saying?
Not all of them are going to make $150,000. But Jay, let me also say this.
In the trades, they're making a killing.
Relax. For kids that want to be in the trades, you can't tell somebody who would rather be an actor, a writer, a director, and a producer to go pick up a damn welding torch. For young people that have an interest in the trades already, absolutely. We want to encourage them. But what we do is we see a black child that we think has no goals and no like professional dreams, and we tell them, go be a carpenter. They wouldn't even be a good carpenter. If they don't like woodworking and if they don't like building and creating, then steering them into the trades is a bad idea because they'd be a terrible carpenter. But for the young people,
but if they don't like to read,
I mean, if they don't like to read, what job can you have anywhere?
They don't like to read. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these kids are not equipped to even. They don't read, bro. They don't do the math. They. It's like I said, my son just graduated from college.
So are you saying if they don't read, they can be in the trades?
No, what I'm saying is it's a difficult life, period, because you have no skills, period, altogether. And a lot of these kids are unequipped. They just don't have skills, man. And I'm just telling you from what I see, because I'm out here in the inner city. I worked with the youth. I worked at COA. I worked at the Home Youth Center. I saw all of this firsthand. I worked in corrections before.
Okay.
I'm telling you what I've seen.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of these people who just going to spot off a bunch of garbage. That's not me.
I'm not challenging what you've seen, but you're only one person. So with these young people that can't read and they don't have any skills, because absolutely I believe that there are young people out there like that, what should we do with them, Jay? Kill them?
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm just asking.
I didn't say that. I'm saying, well, we just got to work a little harder with them. We got to be a little more patient. And some people don't hit their stride until a little later in life. But we just they gotta have a better system. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times that's what fails the kids. The kids don't have a good system around them. And support means a lot. Because I don't believe that. I don't think a lot of people would make it if they don't have good support. So, all I'm saying is those welding jobs and those plumbing jobs and those electrical jobs, that's what built the suburbs. When they were keeping us out until the 60s from picking up the tools, they was the ones making all of the big money. And the most a black dude in the trades could do is be a laborer. So I'm just saying, it's a lot of money to be made, and they can own their own company at that point. They can do their own thing. They can be their own boss.
If that's what they want to do.
No, I'm saying, yes, definitely.
Right.
I mean, if you want to go to school and be a teacher and open up your own learning center, that's what you choose to do. But if you don't value education that much and you better at hands-on, which a lot of people are, like my dad, for one, he was one of them dudes, he wasn't that book smart, but man, he could fix anything. So we have to acknowledge that, and sometimes I feel like when I hear you, don't go be a plumber, like, dude, you don't punch down on the plumbers. We fix your stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Jay, for your call. So I've heard that response from people, and let me tell you what angers me about that response. I am trying to develop our young people into 1,000 different types of professionals. What we continue to hear is, oh, go get in the trades. Go for children that want to be in the trades, yes. But stop saying that this is their only option and their only avenue. Whenever I offer, we need black teachers. Now, we need black doctors too. But if I say we need black doctors and we need black lawyers and black accountants, y'all gonna say, why are you punching down on the trades? I'm not. Seriously. And I think it was Linda that said in a YouTube chat, I think I have it right here. No, maybe I don't. Is this it? She mentioned, so here we go. She said, during my teaching career, the conversation about black male teachers was that the teaching salaries were not enough for a family. The average annual salary for teachers in the Milwaukee public school system varies across sources and time periods, reflecting differences in methodology, data from employee reports versus official district figures, blah, 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 blah. The most reliable data from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction indicates that the average salary for classroom teachers, not administrators, not principals, the average salary is $69,180. Did y'all know that? Remember when people used to say, oh my God, the teachers need to make more money and the teachers don't make enough. $69,180. Let me also tell you this. They ain't got to work in June. They ain't got to work in July. And they don't got to work in August. You making $69,180 in 9 months? If you extend that out to 12 months, that's $90,000 a year, damn it. Reliable data from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction indicates that the average salary for classroom teachers in MPS was $69,180. More recent estimates from platforms aggregating employees submitted and job posting data such as Glassdoor as of November of 2025 and Indeed as of July of 2025 says the range is between $62,000 and $65,000. These figures account for factors including years of experience, educational qualifications, lane placements on the salary schedule. Salaries in MPS determined by structural and schedule negotiated through the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, the MTEA, with starting salaries typically around $50,000 to $54,000 and maximums exceeding $89,000 a year. And we're over here saying that teachers don't make enough money, and the appearance of a black teacher somewhere in a black child's academic career dramatically improves their chances of success. I don't know about y'all, but 89. Here, I'm gonna give you the whole range. The lowest is $50,000 to $54,000, and then up to and exceeding $89,000 a year for teaching. And knowing that if you're a black teacher, you're going to improve the outcomes for black children. Why are we discouraging people from being teachers? And the other thing is, while people are saying, oh, Sherwin, you're always punching down on the trades, don't we need teachers to teach kids the math and teach them the other skills they're going to need to even get into the damn trades? We need black teachers, and black teachers make decent money. The average at MPS is $70,000 a year. Now, look, I know to some of y'all, that's not enough money for you, but you get your summers off. All right, let me take a break. Rhea, you want me to buy you some food? I'll buy one. Because I owe them, because, they gave me a free pho yesterday.
They said thank you for stopping by.
Maybe we should patronize them, because we love the Asians. You said you already paid.
Yeah, what?
How did you already pay?
I had to pay to get the food.
But you didn't. You left? I didn't even know you walked.
The little beepy thing.
I looked up Rhea. I didn't even know you was gone.
Off.
All right, go get your food then. All right. Oh, I got a lot of phone calls, don't I? I'm going to take a break, come back, and we're going to talk to Tony, Nikki, Phil, and Tim. Are these people angry? Why do I have so many calls all at once? What did I say that made them angry?
Trade schools.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Every child deserves a school that sees their brilliance. At Milwaukee College Prep, they believe in high expectations, strong character, and academic excellence starting as early as age of 3. MCP scholars continue to outperform their peers across Milwaukee. And the best part about it all, Milwaukee College Prep is tuition free. If you're looking for a school that partners with you, challenges your child, and prepares them for college and beyond, Milwaukee College Prep is the place. Visit MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com to learn more. That's MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com.
There's nothing like Milwaukee Bucks basketball at Fiserv Forum. The dunks, the defense, the roar of 17,000 fans. It's even better when you're with friends or family. From jaw-dropping plays to buzzer-beating threes, every game is packed with unforgettable moments that you'll get to share together. So gather your crew and get your single game tickets today at bucks.com/single. That's bucks.com/single.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 101.7 The Truth.
I want you to really stress the importance of having an ethnically diverse blood supply. But I guess, what do you say to people that, for whatever reason, are apprehensive about giving blood?
It's not by accident that we are building this fixed donation site right in the heart of this Halyard Park, Harambe neighborhood. And to your point, our black and brown donors probably represents the smallest demographic in our donor base. That's attributed to multiple reasons. For those of us that understand the history, there is a lot of underlying mistrust of the healthcare system. And quite frankly, there's already challenges with how busy people are, how accessible they are to even know where to go to donate blood. And let's face it, a lot of folks are scared of needles, right? But when they get through all of that, the importance, I think, is a heavier burden on our black and brown communities, because there are a lot of different blood diseases that require what I'll call more of a match in blood that only comes from people of similar ethnicities. Something that's specific to our black donors and patients is something that I think your listeners are very familiar with: sickle cell disease. The only therapy that get them through their day-to-day life is blood transfusions. And it's not just a what I'll call average or normal blood type or blood transfusion. It's actually a specific blood with a specific type called RO blood. And this RO blood typically only comes from people of African descent and Hispanic descent. And so that's why it's so important that our donor base is diverse, so that it helps our ethnically diverse patient population.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Your touch is velvet, your voice a key, unlocking every piece of me. Sugar, honey, iced tea.
The award-winning 101.7 The Truth is a proud home of Milwaukee Panthers basketball. Panthers basketball is back in action Friday night as they take on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits at the Fiserv Forum. Scott Warris has the coverage starting at 3:30 p.m. on 101.7 The Truth and the Milwaukee Panthers Sports Network from Learfield. Tip-off is set for 4 p.m. Let's talk to Tony from Milwaukee. Tony, you're on 101.7 The Truth.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. We can barely hear you. Take us off a speaker.
Yeah, because my voice is all messed up. I'll talk a little louder if I can. I disagree with the last caller. He said there's, with violent crimes, kids are out here committing violent crimes. Well, I did a violent crime back in 1991, and I'm very successful today. So you have to want it. So the brother said something about kids doing these violent crimes, there's no help for them. I killed 2 people in 1991. 22 years in prison. I was a model citizen in prison. And today I'm very, very successful. That's all I wanted to say. You just have to want it. I apologize to the family. I did my time, the whole 9, and I'm still sorry to this day. But I had to take either them or me, and I chose me. So with that being said, I just disagree with the last caller.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, man.
All right, I just wanted to just let Tony get off the phone. I don't want. He just came out with it, ain't he? I killed 2 people. Them or me. Nikki, you're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you? Nikki, you ain't killed nobody, did you? Have you ever killed?
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I'm nonviolent at all times. Thank you so much for accepting my call. And I kind of just want to reiterate what you said, Sherwin. There's nothing upsets me more when people think that the trades is something that we push towards our kids as a last resort, right? Because it's not. We need to know and understand that in order to be successful in the trades, you got to be able to read, you got to be able to do math, you got to have reading comprehension, you got to be disciplined. So it's actually the same exact skill sets that you need to be successful in college. So we have to remember that. And when we tend to say to our kids that, hey, you're not good in school, you're not successful academically, just going to the trades, it's harmful and it's destructive. We have to stop thinking like that, right? So I just want to make sure that we said that, because I hear that all the time. Just have our alternative kids and our adjudicated youth, just have them do the trades. It's like, no, we are setting them up for failure, because if you cannot read, how are you expected to follow instructions?
That's right.
If you can't problem solve, how do you make decisions? So we have to erase. We can't do that. That upsets me the most. But as it relates to really pushing more African Americans to become teachers, I almost wish that NPS had a strategic plan, because, we had the office, I think it was called the Department of Black and Latino Male Achievement, that we had at one time that I believe that Dr. Posey got rid of. I mean, that would have been a great opportunity to expose our Black and Latino youth to the teaching profession. Because right now, I honestly do believe it's going to be difficult to get a lot of Black teachers, because so many kids have had such bad experiences with education, or they think that you have to be this extremely smart person to be a teacher. You do have to have the skill sets. You got to have the knowledge, right? But there's things that kids can be trained on. And I think if we had more of an intentional and strategic approach to getting more African Americans into the education field, that we can kind of fill that gap. Because my fear is so many people have left the education field, and I don't know if they're going to return. But we also have a lot of youth, right, who are coming out of school right now. They're not thinking about education at all. And like you said, we need teachers. We need those teachers so we can have more lawyers and doctors and nurses and all those other individuals that's going to be necessary to have a really healthy community. So I just wanted to give my 5 cents on those 2 topics.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate your call.
You're welcome.
All right, then, Nikki. Al, you're on 101.7 Truth. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. First of all, I want to sit there and say, tell your kids to do both. My father has a degree, and he did the trades. And when them jobs wasn't hiring them, he used that trade money. And it's wonderful to tell people be teachers. But some of y'all not raising your children. That's why some don't want to be teachers. So there's a combination of two. And I think the thing is, some people look at certain things less than. You can do both. We are Blacks. We can multitask. My father used to be a tutor to help kids with their math and their reading, when some people didn't. Do both. But if you want people to be teachers, you got to raise your children, not the church raising your children or asking your Lord, Hellkaya Walker or Jesus Christ. Because the reason why a lot of Black teachers don't want to be teachers, you're not raising your kids. NPS should not be a daycare. And I tell teachers all the time, if they don't want to raise their kids, tell them keep them at home and their mother and father can be the failure of them children and them little heathens. How about that? But we got to get out this thing. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Because it's wonderful. You can have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD. What you going to do then when they don't hire you? You going to call your mama who worked in that factory, who retired after 45 years? You going to call your brother and ask for some money? Because if you go to the white man, he going to want that balloon mortgage out of you and something else. But if you tell people to multitask and do both, they don't ever have to worry about being broke.
All right,
because
Al.
you will be the man.
Thank you.
How about that?
It sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Do both. Do both. kill people and then no, don't kill anybody. That was a rare case. He's proud of it. He's like, yeah, I killed him. Look at me now. I'm worth $1.5 million. Let's talk to Linda. Hi, Linda.
Good morning, Professor, and good morning to all the beautiful black and white people of 101.7 The Truth and Milwaukee and America. Hey, Sherwin. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good because, hey, I was just, I've been thinking about this, and I don't know if I should share it, but I want your input because it's still in incubation stage. But as you were talking about this, education and the vocational training in college, guess what I was thinking about doing?
What's that?
My God.
Uh-oh, here we go. What would you think about doing?
Since I am a graduate of CYD and a stepchild of Janetta Robinson, I started with CYD when I was 13, and I volunteered the first year, but I was there up until 18, and I want to go and I wrote a grant for CYD, and I want to go and talk to Butch, and I want to know if I can take over the building at CYD, call it Career Youth Development Phase 2, because I know all what CYD was about. It was Self-Help Coalition before it was CYD, and I would turn it into a multi-purpose youth development, career youth development system where you have all of these vocational training. I have my students for school, and we have college prep. We have all of that in that building. Why can't we do that, Sherwin?
Do it.
I'm trying to tell you.
Do it.
It's Career Youth Development Phase 2, and it incorporates all of what you're talking about this morning. Hello, somebody. And I'm writing. I'm gonna get AI to help me write this proposal up to offer Butch my services and my loyalty, my commitment to professionalism and carry Janetta's legacy on into the future. Hello, somebody. I'm trying to tell you, we can turn that building into a multi-purpose career youth development center, for real. Hello. It would be thriving.
Do it!
It would attract youth, and because I'm so out-of-the-box kind of an educator, I know how to attract children. Hello, somebody.
Do it, baby. Do it, baby.
Oh,
Linda, I gotta
did you hear about... Did you hear about the latest trend?
No.
With this number 67?
No, it's not. It's not the latest trend. You're just old. It's not late.
Not?
No, I gotta go, Linda. Just
okay,
do it.
I just saw it. Do it. Let's do it. For real. Yep. Thank you. That's the confirmation I needed.
Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
The revolution starts in our mind, right? You know when Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution won't be televised? Like he didn't mean that you won't be able to watch it on TV. He means the revolution starts in your mind. You nincompoop. Y'all been running around saying that for 60 years. The revolution won't be televised and didn't even know what the hell it meant. It starts with us.
Let him cook. Watch all your favorite 101.7 The Truth shows by subscribing to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
Ho, 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 my back.
Santa?
Ho, 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 Gina Della from Pella. You've been a good girl this year.
Is that why you're in here building new windows?
Yes. Next year, how about just asking for a Pella gift card? My elves are used to designing windows from other places where they're all pretty much the same. But Pella? Ho, ho, ho. So many customizations and designs. My elves aren't qualified, so Santa has to put in some overtime. Ho,
Let me make a call. BRB.
Frighteningly fast pellet team at your service. Let us take it from here, Mr. Claus. And Gina, next time.
Yeah, I know. Santa already lectured me. Ask for a Pella gift card.
What if you need new windows or doors, but you're on the naughty list?
Then this will definitely help. Right now, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest for 24 months.
Ho, ho, ho! Visit the Pella site, and to all a good night.
PellaWI.com.
Service restrictions apply ends 12/31/2025.
The Humane Animal Welfare Society, HAWS, believes in keeping pets healthy and families together. No one should have to choose between rent and veterinary care. The Wellness Clinic at Hawes Animal Shelter in Waukesha offers important basics of dog and cat care to our community. Pet owners can schedule general exams, sick visits, receive vaccinations, even get preventatives and nail trims. Appointments are available weekdays and can be scheduled by calling 262-542-8852. Contact Hawes of Waukesha today for your pet's care.
We believe that self-care isn't selfish. I'm Maddie from Sweet Talks, a women-owned and operated medical spa fostering self-love and confidence. We believe that beauty is about feeling empowered from within, and it's truly a passion for our team at Sweet Talks. Your goals are our goals. Our services go beyond injectables, including facials, lasers, medical weight loss, hormone therapy, and more. There's even a cafe, complimentary to all patients. Get started today at Sweet Talks in Menominee Falls. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. To learn more about how you can take your first steps in buying your forever home, visit associatedbank.com/lending. That's associatedbank.com/lending. Or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Smiley.
Yes. How you doing, Sherman?
Sherwin is doing great. Sherman got shot. I don't know if you heard about Sherman. He got shot.
I know, but let's pray for him. But anyway, listen. I do want to make a comment about just overall with the school system. I'm not from originally here.
Where you from?
I'm from Chicago.
Oh!
And when I moved up here, stop. Judgmental, stop. But, when I moved up here, I made a conscious decision because I want to be successful. And I agree with the young man who said he made a mistake. Situation, if it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be them. He made a choice, and he learned, and he lived, and he dealt with his crimes, and he survived, and he was able to proceed to where he wanted to be. So for me, I did the same thing. I prefer to not drown in other people's situations, and I made life out what I want to. So I am considered a jack of all trades. And I teach my kids, and I told my kids, because all the things that MPS did offer to be successful, is no longer there for the students of all culture. And Brownie Tech was one of those schools. North Division was one of those schools where you could have been a dental assistant, a CNA, or a trade skill. Those things have been essentially tucked away from the children. Why or what and the nerve is going on? We need to make changes within the system. And the way that they are doing things with taking the funding away is causing more harm to our kids. My kids graduated from, I'm not going to say they graduated from MPS school because I had to make a conscious decision what was in the best interest for them. But in the same token, I also gave them options to fulfill their own dreams because we cannot live throughout our kids. We cannot do the things that our kids want, that we want our kids to do because what we didn't do. So we just have to make sure that be a parent at home, teach your kids at home. So black kids or any other kids of any other race can be at school and the teacher can teach them and they can understand what directions they want to go because there is a lot of children out here, black kids, and other races that do want to become a teacher, who want to do other trade skills, but they don't know the directions to go because those things is no longer open and available for them to make a healthy decision to
to go. And so that's the only reason why that I'm just saying, if they bring back those things that they'll eventually have for, like they did at not MATC, but North Division, as well as Bradley Tech, to help get the kids an idea of where they want to be at, start somewhere like that.
All right.
But when it comes down to middle school and elementary school, it starts within the school system, because they changed a lot as far as even with bullying. Bullying takes a lot of weight, those things. The kids don't know what they want to do because they more attracted to trying to get away from this situation.
What happened to Smiley?
So at the end of the day, we have a youth center. We have to just make sure as adults that we making sure our kids are doing things to help other kids that fall into the cracks so they can be successful, so they won't be out here pew-pewing and come up with ideas. And go with the lady who said, just do it. Do it.
Do it.
Go do it.
All right. Now, Smiley, you keep on smiling, Smiley. All right, then, Smiley. Let's talk to Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Sherwin.
Hey.
Hey, let me say this.
Uh-oh.
I was fortunate to come in MPS when MPS was great. Late 70s, from mid-70s to late 70s. I was going to Marshall High School. They had a half-a-day program for MATC, and my dad and uncle always working on cars. So, hey, I'm going to be an auto mechanic. I became a mechanic in 1979. I worked my way up through Firestone, Goodyear, Midas, dealerships, Ernie von Slaylorn, Chrysler dealerships. Ended up working my way into big trucks. People don't understand a mechanic can make over $100,000 a year. Also, I had for my backup was a CDL. There's driving jobs out here everywhere. Truckers make $150,000 a year. So there's money to be made in trades. It's all depending on what you do. So what I did was I stuck with it. I got trade because it's constantly training because they're updating the cars, more computers. You can make some big bucks. And if you notice, like at the old Andrew, which is Kamansky, Chevrolet, it's nothing but young brothers in there. They're training. The dealers, the manufacturers are training these people on these new cars. That's a good trade. CDL and auto mechanic / I ended up going to heavy-duty truck. I ended up working for a #1 garbage company doing the trucks. You make $150,000 a year. But see, most people look at mechanics as greasy, dirty dudes. They make money. Take your car to the shop. You got an electric car. When you get your first repair out there, you're going to faint for what you're going to pay. But that's what I want to say.
Thanks, Phil. All right, then, Phil. What do we learn today? WNOV is owned by white folks. Thank you for listening. Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace is up next.
On Friday night, the Milwaukee Panthers take on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits at the Fiserv Forum.
Jump pass to the corner right. Elam, 10 on the shot clock. Back out for Zaya. Logo 3 for Zay. It's pure. It's pure. It's a 7-point lead. 65-58. I didn't think he was going to shoot that thing. I'm glad he did.
Scott Warris has the coverage Friday starting at 3:30 on 101.7 The Truth and the Milwaukee Panthers Sports Network from Learfield. Tip-off happens at 4 p.m. Need a way to hype up your day?
This is Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, you just won $5,000!
What would you do with $5,000?
That's sweet for a couple months.
Yes! Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes.
That just made me happy.
Stay tuned into 101.7 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
Can we hold something?
I'll holler back at y'all.
Where strong voices meet strong opinions.
The district had as a whole was 59.5. That was awful. It was bad. But it is not just the MPS story. It is a story for the city of Milwaukee when you talk about some of these schools. So when we talk about the state of education, we just can't always talk about MPS. We got to talk about Milwaukee as a whole and why there are so many failing schools in Milwaukee. But we bash MPS, understand it is beyond MPS. MPS just has to educate your kids. But I love the fact that we have a new superintendent that is acknowledging that these scores are not good enough. I love the level of accountability. Casellia said in response to the results, she said, we need to grow more and faster to truly meet and exceed the expectations that our families and community have for us. And the